Hey, you. Subscribe. You're watching Radio Free Cybertron. Hosted by Brian Kilby with JD Church, John DeLuna, XV, Amy Morgan, and Rob Clay. For the latest Transformer news, reviews, and more, visit tformers.com.
This is Radio Free Cybertron, episode 333. It's our 14th anniversary show. What does that mean? Not much, but it's awesome because this 14 years ago is when we released the first episode that nobody at all listened to.
Woohoo!
But it was, it was important. With me this week, we have Don, Rob, Diecast, and JD.
Hi.
Hello there, JD. So on the show this week, we have an interview with Jim Sorenson. It's part 1 of 2. In this part, he talks about the 30th anniversary collection, the book that came out a couple of months ago, based on the basically history of the Transformers comic. And one interesting note, we didn't get this on film, but Jim stated that he did not do the bio for the Transformers Collectors Club subscription service breakdown. Everybody said that Jim did the bio, but he didn't, so...
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know. Mystery. It's a mystery. We also have a review of More Than Meets the Eye, number 22. We have Q&A with Rob Springer. John DeLuna couldn't be with us for our 14th anniversary, but he was good enough to send us a 14th anniversary edition of the ATT Buzz. Pretty excited about that. We also have an interview with Ronnie, Chris, and Dave, assuming Dave will be there, of Nebulan Pirate Radio, which we are partnering with. We'll start bringing that show to you probably this weekend. If you don't know, that's another Transformers podcast. I really like it. I really like the guys. And we talked about it, and yeah, why not? Let's do it. So it's sort of a different take on Transformers podcasting, but I really do like it. Also, this week we have, we have a retrospective from our friend the computer.
God.
Pretty much just say that.
Oh, man.
But let's start things off with the return of, this isn't you, JD, don't worry, This Week in History.
Oh, God.
Yeah, so this was a segment that we used to do, and we just sort of dropped it for various reasons, but it occurred to me this week that starting 10 years ago, stuff was happening. So we can always look back on what was going on 10 years ago this week. So 10 years ago this week, Transformers G.I. Joe issue 2 was released by Dreamwave, and Jay Lee did the art for that series. I never expected Jay Lee to ever do anything Transformers related. I know some people like that stuff, but it just does not work for me. It never has. It probably never will. What did you guys think of Jay Lee or that series in general? Did anyone actually read that?
I'm sorry, it was G.I. Joe.
I didn't. It was G.I. Joe.
But I love that Don and I give the same answer. We're
that's fair.
What?
This is a great topic to bring up, because is it just a coincidence that the G.I. Joe crossover set went on sale at Hasbro Toy Shop?
Entirely. We can talk about that in a minute. So, yeah, it's entirely coincidental. So, because, of course, that nobody really... Harmony Gold, this lawsuit was dropped. Also, 10 years ago this week, Transformers Season 3, Part 1 from Rhino Home Video was released.
Oh, wow.
God, I'm so old.
Yeah, I remember when those came out, we were all just like, finally, we're getting real episodes on DVD.
Yeah, I have all those original box sets, too.
I sold those for lots of money. And then the new edition came out for $50, and all is well with the world.
Yeah. I was going to, but I have seen them so many times, I really just didn't want the new edition because I've seen them so many times.
Yeah, and the Rhino set, they added things like sound effects and stuff, and it was just weird. But most of that only happened if you're listening on the 5.1 sound track, if I remember correctly. It was still weird. But if I remember correctly, our friend Zobivore He helped out with making a lot of that happen, at least filling in some of the gaps that they were missing with, text on the screen and things. So that was pretty cool. So, yeah, that's what was going on 10 years ago this week in history. So as Diecast said, apparently the lawsuit, I didn't know the lawsuit was dropped with Harmony Gold. So the Transformers G.I. Joe SDCC set was released on Hasbro Toy Shop today. $100. That's a lot cheaper than it goes for in parts on eBay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's a heck of a lot cheaper. Looking at this, I mean, I've got the first 2 years, and I really wanted this set. But I look at the pieces, I'm like, I don't really need it that bad. Because I really want Bludgeon, and I'd like to have Skyfire. But I've already got a couple versions of that mold. It's not like I need another. Because I look at the Starscream Sky Striker, and it is completely... it's completely... almost a non-entity because it doesn't transform. Mm-hmm. I look at it and I want it to transform, but of course it's not going to because it's G.I. Joe. Thanks much, G.I. Joe.
Well, I'm just glad that Joe fans who were wanting it for the longest time finally have a chance to get it without them having to jump through secondary market hoops for it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad that the people who really want it can get it, as long as they know about it. So it may be gone by the time the show is over. Maybe not. I don't think there was a lot of demand, as much demand for this as there have been for things like, I don't know, Metroplex. But, still pretty cool. Hey, Diecast, so you went to New York Comic Con this week.
Yes, I did.
How awesome was that? How awesome was it?
It was awesome. It was jam-packed. So I recommend if you can go, to go. If you don't like crowds, do not go because it is the most crowded place. Artist Alley was completely crowded.
Rob,
the
we shouldn't go to
hallways
this.
Were crowded, and the show floor was completely crowded. The only area that wasn't crowded was the press area. Thank God, because I needed some time to get away from the crowds every once in a while, and plus it was a level above, so I could send tweets from there, and they would actually go through as opposed to being on the floor, and they didn't go through at all. But the show was awesome. One of the panels I did was a Voltron Robotech crossover comic book that they're going to be coming out with, and someone from Harmony Gold was there, and I'm sitting in the panel, and I'm thinking, wow, it's nice to see that Harmony Gold's actually going to do something new as opposed to...
It's good to know they consist of people and not lizard robots.
So, and I'm a big Voltron fan and a big Robotech fan, so they're saying it's going to be 6 issues to try it out, so I think the first issue hits... apparently there's a big comic book week right around Christmas time, and that's when this first issue is going to hit, so I'm definitely going to try and pick it up. They did say one of the questions I asked where I won a prize for asking a question was if it was going to be on Comixology, and they said as far as they know it will be on Comixology. There wasn't much Transformers stuff there. I don't know why Hasbro kind of, didn't appear at this show like they did the last 2 years.
They had the pre-event though, right?
That pre-event, but who was invited to that? Who went to that?
Press.
Yeah.
Were you there?
I didn't even know about it.
Oh.
So, and that was Wednesday night because it was when we were doing the
that's
show.
right. Because that news broke during. Yeah, that's right.
But I mean, they had all that stuff that they displayed at San Diego Comic-Con. They had all the, why not display that stuff in New York? There's nowhere else on the East Coast that you're probably going to do that. So I kind of feel like Hasbro dropped the ball not being there. And I really hope that they are there next year, especially with the new TV series that should be coming out. So overall, the show was really good. Just lots of lines.
Yeah, no doubt. Was the press area pretty posh?
It was relaxed. It was not I mean, they had tables set up, and they had like our own snack stand, but it was the same snack stand that was everyone else had access to, just another one in the press area for us. But like I said, it was definitely nice having that nice area. It was right above the show floor, so you could actually look out on both sides and see each side of the show floor and get nice photos. And a lot of people were doing the recordings from there for the live video. There wasn't a lot of press there, at least not in the room. I think they were on the show floor a lot of the times. A lot of people had certain panels they had to go to. I'm really glad that I didn't have to go to specific panels, because it's really easy to miss a panel there because you're waiting in line for something, and next thing you know, it's an hour later and you miss something that you wanted to go to. There were a couple panels I wanted to see that I just totally missed.
I'm certain you can't take it all in. I mean, that you would need a whole crew of people. Maybe next year we'll have one, and that would be really awesome.
Yeah,
hope to be there. But yeah, so that's great. We'll probably we'll have an actual podcast covering all of the stuff that you saw. Trying to get Anthony Brucalian on that too. We'll talk through a time, because that's cool. Awesome. So much to talk about.
Yeah.
So first up in the news, besides that, actually I guess technically third up in the news, we are getting a new Transformers G.I. Joe ongoing comic. I know the guys here are like, boo G.I. Joe. But I love G.I. Joe, and this is an ongoing comic, and it's G.I. Joe invading Cybertron. And the cover, the first issue, I'm assuming this is a cover, looks all kinds of awesome. It's written and drawn by Tom Scioli. I'm not really familiar with Tom, I'll admit. I guess that makes me a bad person, but...
Well, other things make you a bad person, but...
Yeah, but it looks really great. So that's coming. Now, in the press release, IDW is saying that Transformers and G.I. Joe are the two most popular comics franchises of all time.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm certain there's probably ways you could grade it to say that.
I guess if you're talking about based on a toy...
Mm-hmm.
Maybe most popular comic licenses of all time, but yeah.
Yeah, I could see that.
But I'm kind of excited by that. I actually may pick that up. That may be my third Transformers comic, unless I start picking up Regeneration again. Let's see here. But yeah, so that's pretty cool to me. I'm
sure that people will like that.
Yeah, somebody will like that. I'm not going to pull it up, but we are getting an Asia exclusive reissue of Masterpiece Grimlock. If you missed out on that, there you go.
I think that's great. I mean, how long ago did they do Grimlock? It's been at least 6 years, right?
It's been like 3 years, hasn't it?
Yeah, I'd say it's more in the 3 line.
Yeah, because Grimlock came out before Rodimus. Rodimus came out
a year and a half ago.
Yeah, so it'd be 3 years.
And did I hear? I thought I heard that it's going to come with a flame attachment for the sword and a coin that
transforms.
Into the crown.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Wow,
that's pretty.
Now,
exciting.
do you think they'll reissue this in the States again, or is this going to be a Japan only?
The only master. Well, let's see here. Which masterpieces have received reissues in the U.S.? Just the MP1.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah,
probably not then.
So probably not.
Yeah, so I mean,
don't hold your breath.
I mean, I'm certain it would sell out if it was released by Hasbro for Toys R Us. But this is a Takara release, an Asia exclusive Takara, not an Asia exclusive Hasbro. So I'd say it's less likely. But I'm certain you can import it now at a lower rate than probably the $300+ it was going before. It's probably my favorite masterpiece. Probably it's a great representation of the character in both modes. It's pretty flippin' huge. It's a really nice toy, and unlike some of the other Masterpiece figures, you can transform it without a lot of thought, but it's not simple.
That's what I was going to say. It's an easy transform.
Yeah, I really like that. It's just a great toy. And Takara also has an official page now for Blue Streak. And having Prowl, I really want Blue Streak. But I'll probably hold off on that so that I can get G2 Sideswipe. It's the one I'm looking forward to the most.
Yeah.
So there was some Transformers news at New York Comic Con. We're getting, I don't even know if I'm going to show this. I guess I better. We're getting a Hallmark keepsake ornament of Optimus Prime. And looking at this photo, it looks more like an air freshener that I would hang in my car.
Yeah. I didn't even see that there. And I was at Hallmark. I got one of their they had an exclusive Wrath of the Rancor figure for Star Wars that I picked up.
I saw the photo for that.
Yeah. Oh,
and if you haven't seen Diecast photos, go to our Facebook fan page. He's posted like 300 photos, and they're great. So he did a lot of great work there, a lot of great tweets, and he kept us up to date. I saw a lot of fan sites that had copied some of our photos and put them out there, uncredited. Thanks, Scaleface. So I'm picking mostly. Let's see here. Also, Animated Jackpot came out this week. I got mine. It's
Yeah, I got mine. It's an animated toy.
Is this one you're keeping?
Probably.
This is the one I would sell if anyone wanted it.
But see, that's the thing, is I don't think anybody wants it. So it's like, why try to sell it when no one's going to buy it?
And of course, this is the one figure that didn't come damaged for me. So
yeah,
just because it has no sort of, protruding marks out of the top of the car.
Yeah.
So it was actually okay in shipping.
It's okay. It's harmless.
Well, I didn't get the set, as I mentioned, but I saw some of the pictures, and I swear it's sort of interesting that jazz mold can be repainted as so many different characters without doing a lot of remolding on the heads and such.
Since it's animated jazz, it's a lot more open to interpretation as to what it actually is.
Right.
Yeah. Because when we got the Stunticon set, and that was the Dead End figure, all they did was like add a goatee. And it was a completely different looking,
I forgot about that. Yeah. It sure is jackpot.
So if anybody wants it, let me know.
It's shame they couldn't have added a mini-con to that for sites, just sort of with what they're doing in this second subscription service. But I'm sure someone could find something.
Yeah, they probably, hindsight's 2020. So one of the crazier things that I've seen in a while, there is the Japanese Creo comic. And I'm not going to go into this story because I don't know what it is, but it's got I've seen a translated version of this, and I've read it, and I still don't quite know what it is.
Does it involve little girls that
No. That's Kiss players. Kiss players. So basically, Creo Optimus Prime defeats the Decepticons because he has to go poo, and he's like running to go poo, and he basically think of Transformers the movie, and when he makes that, he comes to Autobot City and has that attack. Just imagine him trying to go to the bathroom. That's basically what we're talking about. But it's just got the cutest little picture of Optimus taking a dump. And
is he shitting a brick? Is that what you're saying?
Well, yeah, I guess it probably is. But it's just the cutest little thing.
Probably an oil filter.
Yeah, he probably blew a gasket or something.
Are you so crazy?
But it's so cute. It's so cute. But yeah, so it's kind of wrong. Really, just kind of wrong.
Wow.
Yeah, but yeah. Okay, we're actually sort of reorganizing things a little bit. We are focusing all of our third-party stuff into our weekly third-party roundup. We used to do, for those people who've been listening more than 6 months, we used to do like third-party news once a month, but there became so much we started going and doing it once a week. But just so that we can just sort of run through it all, because frankly, it all doesn't need to be mentioned. When we have 7 or 8 different versions of one character, I really don't care. So, but some of this stuff is awesome. And Diecast actually got to see some of these things. He actually got to see the color version of not Galvatron, right?
Yeah.
At New York Comic Con.
The only stand with Transformers figures, well, at least new Transformers figures. He was selling a lot of the masterpieces and stuff. It was called Lunar Toy Store, I think. And he was really cool. He let me leave some RFC cards on his desk.
Awesome.
Or on his table or whatever. And he had these 2 figures. And I was kind of shocked to see them there. I wasn't expecting that.
What do you think? What do you think of it? I mean, do you think it's going to? I look at it and it's like, it's Galvatron, but it doesn't necessarily do anything that's I think is too very Marvel. I mean, when I say Marvel, I don't mean like the comic company. I mean, I don't think it does anything that's that novel or that interesting. It kind of looks like your rote attempt at making a new Galvatron.
Except with way too much surface detail.
Yeah, I'm left unimpressed.
I mean, but do we really have a good Galvatron yet that turns into a cannon like the movie figure? I mean,
no, but that doesn't mean
think of one.
No, but that doesn't mean this is it either. Is the problem?
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna hold off till I see it in color. I really like the cannon on his arm. That's the first time I got to see it with the cannon on the arm, and that part of it looks really good. The head looks pretty decent, and the body looked okay too. I'm really not giving up hope on this figure yet. I really liked it, but I always kind of wait till we get the color images.
Yeah, just I don't know. I mean, this isn't like goodness. What am I thinking of? Was it the Megatron reissue that was just boring? What was it? It was
the one by Toy World.
Yeah, Hegemon. Yeah, because I'm like hegemony is the where it's coming. Oh, it's Hegemon. But yeah, so I mean, I really equate that to this, and not because it's Galvatron and Megatron, just because I look at it and like that's almost something I would be interested in. It's like the reissued not Shockwave is good enough to where I look at that and I'm like, that looks pretty nice, but this just goes a little overboard. Just not quite interested. But we actually did see, is it Fans Project that's doing the Sharkticon, or is that somebody else? Unique Toys.
That's the same people that were doing the
Galvatron
Unique Toys.
Now, I like the look of this. So I think this actually looks pretty good. It's pretty slavish as well, but it just, for me, seems to work better.
This is another one where we already know about the iGear ones coming out.
Yeah, it's a 3-pack too.
Yeah. So another one where they're just pushing multiple out at the same time.
So, I mean, I pre-ordered that. I kind of like the look of this. I don't know. I may get something. So, also coming up in the third-party roundup, and this isn't strictly third-party. It's more knockoff, but I just want to point out that we now have knockoff Creos. They're not knockoff in the sense that they are copies of Creos exactly. It's just they are designed to look very much like Creo from the packaging and everything, and I think that's pretty great.
They're like
there's a measure of success.
Yeah, like they sort of have knockoff-ish heads. They may have actually used some of the head sculpts, maybe. If not, they are definitely made to look like the Creo figures. But I really like historically what these knockoff companies have done with trying to skirt the edge of, for the companies that try to skirt the edge of likeness. Some are just like the CHMS figures, or just complete counterfeits. But, sometimes they'll change the color, change the scale or something where it doesn't look entirely like the other figure. And that's sort of what these do. And they're just kind of crazy and creepy. And their humanoid counterparts look more like Lego minifigs, I think. They are actually, they're more Lego minifig-y than the Creo figures, because the Creo figures are, they are sort of set apart from minifigs. But these kind of look great. And if I'm not wrong, they are based out of Canada. So we might be able to see these here in Big Lots.
Or possibly one of the other discount chains, because that's what happened with the previously Canada-exclusive Best Lock sets, too.
Oh, yeah. So...
How much cheaper can you get than Creo, though? I mean, what are they going to sell
Best
back
Lock.
for?
Yeah. And the only thing cheaper than that are the building blocks that you can get at Michael's. If you've seen those things.
I have not seen that.
They are... So... Don was complaining about how the back of Prowl's legs are hollow. Mm-hmm. The back of the minifigs are hollow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Wow.
Cheap. Very cheap.
That's pretty bad.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
I can't stand for that.
There's a Unique
He's
Toy.
mad as hell. He's not going to take it anymore.
Unique Toys is also doing not blaster, but there's not enough of that really to worry about yet. Once we actually have a photo with a head, we'll talk about it. And let's see here. Oh, this kind of interests me somewhat. And again, because it's third-party add-on stuff, but we are getting an upgrade kit from Renderform to turn the new Bumblebee mold into hubcap.
Unfortunately, it will not turn the new Bumblebee mold into a better grade of yellow plastic.
Yeah.
I think you'd have to have a box of magic to achieve that, Rob.
Yeah. I do want to get the Goldfire when it comes out, because I like the basic mold, but I hate that plastic.
I'm not crazy about the mold, and I'm definitely not crazy about the plastic. But the fact that it's basically gold bug. Mm-hmm. Guess I kind of have to buy it.
Yeah, that is on my mind too. But the fact that I think that I would like this toy a lot more in a better better color, it pretty much seals it. So, it's definitely gonna. If you only want one version of that mold, that'll definitely be the one. Yeah,
and this upgrade kit actually fits in with the toy. It doesn't clash or look stupid like some of the upgrade kit, no offense, but to some of the upgrade kits that we've seen before, it actually looks like it fits the mold. I like it. I think they did a good job with this.
This is one of the first upgrade kits I've seen that actually had light piping too. I thought that was nice.
Yeah, I'm certain that's probably not the easiest thing to accomplish, because it's not like you can just paint that in.
Yeah.
So that's pretty impressive. And one last thing I want to mention in the third-party roundup, and so BMOG Toys, we are getting a new line of third-party, basically combinable weapons. And full disclosure, a friend of mine is the person who's producing these, so but I don't know anything beyond that. But I actually didn't learn about this until a couple of days ago, and I saw it, and I'm like, holy crap, that looks really awesome. And it was like, oh, Trent's doing these. That's fantastic. People...
Yeah,
go ahead. Sorry. No, go ahead.
I really like these. Just for whatever reason, it kind of reminds me of Zoid's blocks, which I really loved and did not last very long here. So, I'm looking forward to seeing this. If the price is decent, I may have to get that.
Go ahead.
Well, I usually don't buy into a lot of the small little designer lines. Like a lot of folks I know online are doing the Golios and things like that, which really doesn't interest me. But if this is well built and just done properly, this could be like a small collector line that I will follow. This could be like my Golios. The small little designer lines. And always having extra weapons is nice, but You gotta love the name. I'm sorry, it's just
Yeah, I really, really dig it.
personal. I mean, it's just.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea, and like Rob said, it sort of has a Zoids vibe sort of thing going on, and that's just cool. So there you have it. You can follow them on Twitter at... why don't I follow them on Twitter? It's at BMOG Toys. There, I'm following.
There you go.
But yeah, so at BMOG Toys. You should buy that. Trent will thank you. So that pretty much does it for the news this week. Coming up, we have, like I said, that interview with Jim Sorenson, and let's go ahead and jump to that, and we'll be back right after this. With us this week, we have Jim Sorenson. He is the author of many a fine tome, Allspark Almanac, what else? The Arc, Volumes 1 and 2, Allspark Almanac, Volumes 1 and 2. Lots of great stuff. You also, 30th Anniversary Collection, which is an anthology of the comic books that came out recently. I need to pick that one up. I don't have it yet. And you also have, coming up in December, you have The Art of Prime coming out.
I believe it's late November. Might be early December, but I thought it was supposed to be late November.
I think Amazon's at December, so that's when my pre-order is scheduled for. But I'll get it whenever they get it.
It's saying December 10th is what it says right now.
Okay, but that may well be the case.
I mean, what do you know? You're just the author.
They don't tell me. I mean, as far as I know, we haven't actually gotten approval from Hasbro yet, so in theory that could take a little while, but usually with a book like this it's pretty quick. So
let's go ahead and talk real quick about the 30th Anniversary Collection. That just came out, you said August, before I started rolling. And that is a collection of the comic series. Is that everything? Marvel, IDW, Blackthorn, Dreamwave, all that?
No Blackthorn, but what we did try to do was have an overall comprehensive view of the history of Transformers comics. Originally we had some thoughts about maybe getting a little bit of the manga in. That wasn't something that we were able to clear. I think that was legal that held that up because there are, it's more complicated to get those sort of issues into the book. But we did get quite a lot of material from the U.S. and from the U.K. Marvel US, Marvel UK, Dreamwave, IDW. That's what makes up pretty much all of the book.
It would be hard to make it would be kind of hard to make heads or tails of some of the manga anyway. Just honestly, some of it's just kind of hard to follow.
The one that I was really pushing for, because I think the book came in around roughly 300 pages or so, which sounds like a lot, but when you're reprinting comics that are somewhere between usually 11 and 34 or so pages, that gets eaten up pretty quickly, especially if you want to cover not just all the different companies, different publishers out there, but different important creative teams as well. You can very quickly blow through your page count. So what we were looking for, and it's kind of funny to be talking about what's not in the book, but my editors and I were really keen to get linkage, part of linkage, into the book, and that was the Armada manga. It was it came packed with the DVD release and little mini cons that would feature in the manga, kind of similar to how FunPub and the TCC do their stuff, where the fiction dovetails with the toys that they have. And that was a really, really excellent manga that came out. And I think we were going to do the 4-page conclusion. So it would have been pretty small, and it would have made a lot of sense. And it was, Doug Glynn has some pretty much official translations out there that we were going to use. So that would have been neat if we could have made it happen. But unfortunately, that wasn't something that we were able to clear through legal.
Yeah. So would there be any actually, I was going to say, Doug worked for, was it Kitchen Sink?
I believe so, yeah. Or maybe Antarctic? Or...
Antarctic, yeah.
Fresh, yeah.
Yeah, so are they still around?
As far as I know.
Okay, so I didn't know if there'd be any complications using anything that he might have done. I didn't know if that would have been...
I don't think that would have been... If we had to, I could have probably had it retranslated pretty easily. I'm pretty good friends with Andrew Hall, who Hydra.
Yeah.
And he's fluent in English and
Japanese.
Definitely. So he's really good at that sort of stuff. So if I had to, I would have retranslated it, but I wouldn't have thought there'd be any issue with that.
Probably not. So that you said that is about 300 pages. That's pretty impressive. How many comics? I think the whole comics pretty much are in there. You have something representative from each of the universes or the series, basically.
Yeah, that was the idea. And in the cases where sometimes there were issues that we wanted to get in that we just didn't have room for. So at the back of the book, we talk about some of those as we sort of called them honorable mentions, as well as what IDW's current lineup was. We thought it even though IDW's current lineup is probably as strong as Transformers comics have ever been.
Yeah, maybe.
We didn't want to overemphasize those. So we generally, I think we gave RID and Regeneration 1 and Robots in Disguise. I think each of them got a 2-page spread where we sort of talked about what was going on in comics now. So they're represented, but we didn't reprint those issues. Also, it's a little harder, because they're so serialized. It would be a little harder to pull out one issue that would represent it. Not impossible, but we could do it. But we, there's quite a lot of IDW in there, as you'd expect. We got one of the issues of Last Stand of the Wreckers in there. We had one of the issues of Mike Costa's run on the book. We had one of the issues of All Hell Megatron in there. We had one of the, the early Simon Furman issues in there, as well as one of the Transformers animated stories. We got one of Chris Mallory's Reign of Starscream issues in. I think that's, I might be forgetting something, but I think that might be it for what we had from IDW. And then from Dreamwave, we had one of the issues of The War Within. And I think we had the very first Dreamwave issue, the preview issue that they had with Lazarus plunging through the Arctic, and that was kind of fun. I think that was. I probably would have done it anyway. But I think John Barber came to me and said, for good or for ill, we have to get some Pat Lee into the book. So we went with that. It's partially because it's a short story, as I was saying, page count's an issue, but partially because it was the first official mass market Transformers comic
years
out in over a decade. There's a little bit that was coming out in Japan. There was a little bit from Fun Publications for 3H from the BotCon stuff, but that was about it. It wasn't a whole lot, and then quite a lot from Marvel US and UK. I think we got Target 2006, the big Ultra Magnus Galvatron fight in there, and
Micromaster Wrestling.
No Micromaster Wrestling. I think for Bob's issues, I actually that was one of those disagreements I had with John where I lost. I was really keen on getting issue number 5 of Marvel US in there, which is All Dead.
Yeah.
I did get the cover in because it's just it's
iconic,
brilliant and beautiful cover. And it's also my first issue of Transformers comics that I ever read back when I was a kid. So there's that extra emotional connection. But instead we went with the Smelting Pool, which obviously iconic issue and very representative of Bob's. It wasn't a fight I felt too bad about losing, but it was one of those things where we had, we didn't quite see eye to eye on what should be for Bob's issue. And then we had issue 69 from the Marvel US, and I think we had issue 1. And I might be forgetting 1 or 2 issues, but that's a good sense of what the content of the book is in terms of the comics. But what I was really proud of with that one was that we were able to interview at least one person, usually so often 2 or 3, who were involved with each of the issues that we spoke about, not just the issues that we reprinted, but also the issues at the end of the book, the honorable mentions. I thought the Ironhide miniseries was really strong, and it would have been really nice to include one of those issues, but we'd already sort of had Costa's run on the book adequately represented with issue number 4 of the ongoing, which was the Thundercracker sort of spotlight issue that he had done. I shouldn't say spotlight because that has a specific connotation, but the issue that focused on Thundercracker, which was a pretty good one. The other one we were thinking about was maybe 31, the one that ended his reign. We actually thought that might have been a nice way to end the book, just because it's so forward-looking. It's probably you might be able to find a Transformers fiction that takes place after that, further in the future than that, but you'd have to look pretty hard, I think, to do that.
Just out of curiosity, were you able to include any from the Generation 2 comic line?
Yes, thank you. I'd forgotten that. We got a thanks, Don. You're helping me out here. Yeah, we had 2 of the issues of Tales of Earth, the Megatron bludgeon fight. The setup for that and the actual fight. And what was nice about that was one of them was the Derek Yaniger artwork, and one of them was Manny Galen.
Oh.
So I know there were a couple other artists that did a tiny bit on G2, but basically those two guys carried the water for G2. So I really like that I got both of those in there. And again, small page count and quite an impactful story, I think.
Yeah, I definitely need to pick this up. I take it so. The bulk of it sounds like it was pretty much contents that was just that was reprinted, but I'm certain from editorial or from how do I want to put it, from a historical perspective, you probably are able to illustrate actually what went into some of this. You said with interviews and things
I think that was the real value that I added, because I don't like to produce a book that I wouldn't buy, and I'm not a guy who's really hugely into anthologies. Generally my buying habits are to pick up a digital copy of the book, and then when the first trade comes out, usually not usually the one with all the bells and whistles, but sort of the basic trade comes out, pick that up, and then I'm sort of done. So I don't usually pick up all of the the best of Megatron, the best of Starscream, that sort of thing. But once I have it, in a format where I can put it on my shelf, I don't usually get the next one. So I said, there's a lot of people out there like that, and I'd like to at least maybe try and entice them a little bit to make them think that maybe this one's worth buying. So each story I open up with a page or two of interview notes. I think the only issue that I wasn't able to get somebody involved in the original production to talk about was Transformers #1, the very first Marvel issue. But that one was fine because I had, I think, about 4 pages of artwork that was unused. Artwork that was created for that issue, but then they had to change, including the one I really liked was an earlier version of the scene with all the Autobots spread out in the arc where they're doing their roll call. So they had to redo that scene, and you can see where they've kind of traced over some of the images, but some of them are completely different, and the composition is different. And it's you kind of have to go back and forth between the pages to see the difference, because when you look at it, your brain says, yeah, I've seen this image before, but then if you actually compare it, no, you haven't. It's new, and I think somebody was missing. I wonder if they just forgot somebody and they had to redo it, though I would think that if that was the case, they probably could have just drawn him in and stuck him in on an added piece.
So for the miniseries, Budiansky was the editor for that, right?
Yes, that's correct.
And was it?
And of course, he made most of the bios, and a lot of the characters.
Who was it? DeFalco that wrote that? Who was it?
I believe they had several writers. I think Ralph Macchio.
Ralph Macchio.
Not Ralph Macchio, but the comic guy.
Okay,
I like the video. I mean, I can pretty much I can get physical. That's nice.
That's pretty awesome. So go ahead, Don.
I'll say one good thing about this book coming out for Christmas is not only would it be a good Christmas gift for a Transformer fan, if you know someone that reads comics but doesn't really deal with the Transformers universe, maybe because there's so much history or backstory, this way they can see all the different incarnations that we've got to enjoy through the years. They can say, hey, I like this artwork, or I like this writer.
This one you could actually get for Halloween because it's already out.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. I was
and for Christmas. Get it for both.
Yeah, Christmas. But that way, if
it's a great Halloween stuffer. Yeah, $50 book in everybody's bag if you're incredibly wealthy. But that was but Don, no, that was exactly what the idea was. I mean, I think the idea of the book originated with Hasbro, that they wanted to sort of have this as one of the ways that they could celebrate their 30th anniversary and really have a retrospective where you look through the years. And I touched on this when I was talking about the G2, but I wasn't just looking at the publishers and the eras and the continuities. I was also looking at the creative team. So I was, I tried to get as many different voices in there as possible. And in fact, one of the sort of internal debates that I had with issue number 69 was I really liked it. I thought it was a really nice standalone story from the Unicron era. It's one that hasn't been reprinted as much. Issue 75 has been reprinted several times, and it's a physically bigger story. So if we had that, we might have had to leave something else out. But we already had Jeff Senior in the book from earlier because he had drawn the Target 2006. Oh, I also got Victory, which was an early UK story from the annual with Grimlock in there. So I was looking at the characters. I wanted to get a good variety of the characters in there. So there's, obviously a lot of Optimus and Megatron, but there's also a lot of Starscream and Grimlock and Bumblebee and Shockwave, characters like that. And I wanted to get a good amount of the creative teams. So one of the things that was holding me back a little bit, that prevented me from embracing issue 69 quite as enthusiastically as I might have, was that you didn't have the Stephen Baskerville inks in there. And I really kind of wanted to get them in there. But there was no really good way to do that because we were trying to avoid characters like Death's Head and Circuit Breaker. Not that it would have been impossible to include them, but it would have added an extra layer of complexity, to include Marvel-owned characters. So, and I think Circuit Breaker shows up around 72 or so, or maybe 73. I think 72. She shows up at the end of that. So we would have been able to include maybe 70 or 71, which would have gotten Baskerville in. But then I felt like they weren't as strong stories in terms of the standalone. So that was one where I had to live with not a whole lot of Baskerville. There's a little bit of Baskerville because we talk about Regeneration 1, and there's one with him, which I think is off topic. I think it's really awesome that not only did they get Furman and Wildman back, it's Wildman for most of the run, but that they also got Baskerville in there.
That's incredible that they were able to do that.
And JP is killing it with the coloring, I have to say.
Yeah, it's when I started picking up Regeneration 1, a friend of mine that runs a comic book shop locally could not get back in. It'd been too long for him to get back into it. And he said, and I said, well, for me, it's just like picking up issue 81 20 years ago. It literally felt like I was picking up the very next issue when I was in college at UNC Wilmington, and it was issue 81. And that's just a great feeling.
That wasn't quite my feeling. I'm really enjoying the book, but it to me, I can feel the weight of the intervening years in some ways. I mean, little things, but things like, the issues not having individual titles, having the 5-issue blocks, that feels very much like modern storytelling as opposed to, the way that they were doing things back in the early 90s. There's a few other things like that. I think what he did with Earth, Wrecking Earth, not that I minded. I thought it was, the fact that he was able to do that was kind of neat. But to me, that didn't feel like a plot element that would have been something that he would have done 20 years ago. For what it's worth. I
think it's a great approximation of what it would be a great approximation of a continuation synthesized using modern themes and techniques, probably.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I love the coloration. I wouldn't have wanted to go back to the Nel Yomtov style of coloration, although I think it's kind of neat that they did that a bit in issue number 0. I thought that was pretty clever. But I think it's probably good that there's a modern sensibility, but I feel like you can feel the modern sensibility. Yeah, that's probably not a bad thing, but it is what it is.
I'm Buster Jones, and this is Radio Free Cybertron.
Some haunted houses tap into your fears, but the Haunted Theater on Hill Street will sink you into your nightmares. Come see for yourself on October 18th, 19th, 25th, 26th, November 1st, and on Halloween night. Located in downtown Griffin at 111 North Hill Street. For more information, you can visit our website at www.thehauntedtheater.org. For only $7, you can find out if you will be able to awaken from your dreams or remain stuck in your nightmares. All proceeds go to the Griffin Ballet Theater.
You boys a bit bored? Snap into it! Snap into a Slim Jim!
Hey guys, it's Rob, and this week's question comes from Jazz Meister. Jazz asks, hi, I was wondering how long it would take to get a Games Workshop style tabletop games from the Transformers IDW universe. I mean, there are plenty fractions, I think he means factions, to choose at the moment in this, the regular Autobots and Decepticons, the Wreckers, the DGD, the Nails, and even if someone take Dark Energon in that Codex 2, there would also be the Undead. It would be great if something like this happened in the next future, because I would buy it for sure. Well, Jazzmeister, thanks for your question. And I have no clue how long it would take. Hasbro already owns Wizards of the Coast, so if there's any internal desire to do something like this, I'm pretty sure they would start work on it, and it would probably just take as much time to produce the materials. And they would probably just adapt existing rule set or game system to work with it. They tried that card game a while back, and it didn't take off. Admittedly, those models didn't look the best in the world, but what are you going to do with card models? You know, they're only going to look so good with certain things. I'll be honest with you, I don't even know how the game played. I just bought a couple of packs to fiddle with. Now, if an outside group did it, first they would have to, I guess, kind of develop a working model of the game and then seek license from Hasbro and get it approved, and then it would take basically however long the development process, which would include going through a Hasbro approval processes would take to get it done, and that's however long it takes. I really couldn't tell you. I'm pretty sure they would also adapt an existing rule set to work with it, because that generally seems to be how these game companies do. They take one set and make it work, you know. Games Workshop probably wouldn't bother, since they seem to like to be they like to work with their own IP, it seems, and that's perfectly fine. Some of these other companies would probably be all over if given the chance. Now, yeah, I'm sure, even if not the IDW universe, pretty much any setting or just a general multiverse setting would work out just fine for one of these games. I mean, there's plenty of options to choose from. So, but would you rather a tabletop warfare game like Warhammer, or more of a board gamey quest type game like Talisman or something? You know, that's where you'd have to wonder which game would be better for you. Personally, I think I'd like something more like Talisman, because as fun as a World of Warhammer game might be, World of Warhammer. These guys gotta quit picking such similar names. Or these Dungeons and Monsters games. I mean, sure, a tabletop warfare game would be fun, but I'm more of an adventure-y dude. So, but each is their own, really. So yeah, and believe it or not, we've been doing this for 14 years. I just kind of wanted to take a point to talk about this. I first submitted my first thing in like 2002, which is like 13 years ago, 11 years ago, yeah. And I was listening for a few years prior, practically asking every day to my pal Brian via email, hey, how can I help out? And then he'd tell me, hey, how can I help out? And then he'd tell me, hey, how can I help out? And then he'd tell me. Actually, I made a few of them that never made it on the show. I think I might have FTP'd them to the wrong computer, which is hilarious if you think about some person looking at their computer and be like, why is there these random MP3 files in my computer? I mean, I can just imagine someone open up their computer and be like, who's this guy reviewing G1 Iron? What is a G1? Because I did. Actually, what's funny is when I first started talking to Brian outside of just internet means like ATT and such, I would email him, and the way I generally talked at the time was generally the way people in my age group talked at the time, which in this area that I live in, which was not the way Brian did. So me saying, yeah, you should come to Georgia and we should hang out sometime or something, that's just sort of a regular, hey, yeah, cool, you're a cool dude type thing that people said at the time. And Brian thought I was stalking him. He was a little nervous. And in all honesty, I wish I knew that at the time, because I would have exploited that and be like, you want to see a picture of my butt? But it's just kind of weird how these works out. Actually, I can tell you exactly what I was doing. In 1999, I already had an interest in internet radio. I had actually did a report. In a marketing class, I had to do a trade show presentation as a project, and I did one on internet radio. And maybe a year later, you guys remember Two Guys, a Girl, and a Pizza Place? I was in my first apartment, bummed down on a couch watching that, and just kind of mentally thinking about running an internet radio station. For some reason, I figured you just have a house full of servers and someone putting CDs in and out of the thing. I had no clue how it would really work. And not that much longer, there was Brian on some of the Usenet groups asking, would anybody be interested in a Transformers radio show? And I was like, yeah, cool, this is neat, I'm going to listen to this. And I don't think I thought it was really going to go farther than that. And then slowly, I wet my throat up a little. That sounds gross to say out loud. And eventually, the show starts coming out, and I'm like, whoa, this is the future right here, man. Because I was like a 21-year-old college kid, I was like, yeah, internet radio, it's happening right now. You're 21, you're kind of a dumbass. And after bothering him for so much time, how can I help? I finally did. And I've been engulfed with it. Yeah, I've been playing with him ever since in the sandbox, and it's been very fun. So it's kind of crazy to think that 14 years ago, I was kind of daydreaming about this on my couch. And then later, I'm actually doing something with it, talking about my hobby daily or weekly, and that's fun. So, hey, thanks everyone for listening, be it 14 years or 14 days or 14 minutes, however long you guys have been paying us attention. Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, hell, I've made one of my best friends, Brian, through this crazy little daydream. And it's really cool that I've met so many awesome people, made really good friends through this. So, hey. Put your hands on the screen. Kids Club. Alright. Well, hey, if you guys want to send us any questions, please do. You can send it straight to me at rob@tfradio.net or go to tfradio.net. There's plenty of ways to contact us there. Or go through our various social networking means. Or hey, check out my blog, roborobspringer.tumblr.com, and there's an Ask Me button there. And I'm actually, I gotta get ready for work. It's like 3:25. So, thanks for watching, guys. Talk to you later. Bye. Where's the stop button?
Radio Free Cybertron is teamed up with Kokomo Toys and Collectibles in Kokomo, Indiana. If you're in the Kokomo area, visit our store for a huge selection of new and classic toys. Visit online at www.kokomotoys.com for our address and store hours. While you're there, check out our listing of pre-order items, as well as visit our eBay store. Visit us at www.kokomotoys.com. That's KOKOMOTOYS.com. We're also on Facebook.
Warning. The following segment may contain spoilers for the most recent Transformers comic books. Alright, so, More Than Meets the Eye 22. I don't think we've been waiting for this quite as much as 21, but...
No.
It had to fall somewhere.
Yeah. And, just on the surface of it, on what happens in it, it's a nice little standalone issue.
Mm-hmm.
It's just looking at it,
It has nice covers, though.
Yes, the covers are really nice.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the inside, which is kind of jam.
Or, facepalm.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Well, the artist, James Rice, did do the first of the Armada pack-in comics, and he has certainly gotten better since then. But he is just not suited to this book.
It's no secret that Dreamwave enforced an in-house style on all of its artists. And while, he worked on the Armada ongoing book also, not just the pack-in comics.
Okay.
So, you could see in his body of work that, yes, that was being pushed on him too. but I don't think it was entirely being pushed on because some of the panels in here are just a little bit dream wavy.
Yeah.
It really struck me with Thunderclash's first officer
Mm-hmm.
because he's really got that marshmallow thing going on.
Yeah.
And then there's the one panel where Tailgate's reaching toward the camera as if
Mm-hmm.
he's trying to take your purse. Old Dreamwave jokes. Um, yeah.
And also, like you said in your written review, he managed to make Tailgate look creepy. And I mean, Tailgate looks like something from out Guyver, and that's not right.
I mean, if you look at all of the character models, it just I can't even describe exactly what he's done to them. It, everybody's recognizable as who they're supposed to be,
Mm-hmm.
vaguely.
Yeah.
But there's just this. It's horrible.
It is. One of the things that makes the More Than Meets the Eye designs work is that there is a lot of detail to those designs, but it knows where to put it and it knows when to back off. There are still, we've complained about this on toys too. There are still flat surfaces with there's still flat surfaces with just enough detail or no detail where merited, and we sure don't have that here.
The other way I look at it is another thing I wrote in my review of this. Take a non-Bruce Timm Batman and put Kevin Conroy's voice on it.
Mm-hmm.
You enjoy hearing Kevin Conroy's voice, but it's never right because that's not the body type that goes with that Batman.
Yeah. It reminds me, Arkham Asylum and Arkham City are on sale on Steam this week.
Focus, Rob, focus. Or else we'll be here all night.
Yes.
I think the story is pretty good. This had to be written like the Spotlights were months in advance of where it was going to be published because it had to be ready to go with the Skids toy.
Yeah.
Which is going to be out, maybe as early as next month.
That'd be good.
Which is, well, that's when the pre-orders are for.
Yeah.
But somewhat lost my train of thought. This isn't really connected to anything that's been going on in the last few months strongly. The very end of it basically falls in between scenes of issue 21, but for the most part, this is all disconnected episodes that could have been slotted in anywhere in the course of the story.
Yeah.
And I kind of enjoy that.
I do too. And there goes my train of thought. But yeah, I like standalone issues, and I like you said, I like that it's not. It also kind of serves as a good old-fashioned recap issue in its way.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that was intentional. I have a feeling it was more of an unintended side benefit, but this is not, except for the art, this is not an awful book for people to be picking up as their first issue of this. That it lets you know what has been going on in the first season. I mean, obviously not all the details, but enough that if you pick this up and then go into Dark Cybertron, which is apparently going to be included with all the toys next year, you're not going to be completely lost.
And it is kind of intentional that this serves as like a primer into this universe. And if you think about it, Skids and Waspinator are shipping in a wave together.
Mm-hmm.
Skids has the introduction to More Than Meets the Eye, while Waspinators has basically the setup for leading into Dark Cybertron from the Robots of Disguise side, because, there's G-Axis and his crew getting hold of the Metro Titan, which is obviously going to be a big plot point for that.
Yeah.
So, this wave, it's kind of like the settling in for people to prepare them for what Dark Cybertron's going to be through the next several waves of toys.
Yeah.
Dreadwing and Goldfire, Bumblebee don't do that as much, but that's mainly because those are just like introducing toys more than they are building onto the story that's going to be presented over the next several months.
Yeah, though in its way, Goldfire's comic does, sort of bring you up to where things are in Robots in Disguise. It's not exactly a recap issue in the sense that this is, but it is more. It is kind of reflective on, the end of the robot politics arc. So in a sense that will function pretty well too, I think.
Yeah, but like most things, More Than Meets the Eye kind of does the whole concept of introducing new readers in a little bit more smoothly, and I would say completely.
Yeah.
The art. No, I don't like to just tear apart the work of an artist because art's really subjective, and there's probably somebody out there that actually enjoyed this art in this book. I haven't run across them yet, but they probably exist.
I'm sure they do, and like I said, it's not bad art. It's just the wrong art for this comic.
I mean, there's some things that are a little incomprehensible.
Yeah.
The scene that I eventually figured out was Ultra Magnus hugging Thunderclash.
Oh yeah.
Which, if you take that panel completely by itself, much like I'm showing on screen right now, there is no way to tell what is supposed to be happening. If we didn't have Tyrest's dialogue mentioning a hugging incident a few issues back, there would be very little clue what that was even about.
Mm-hmm. Totally went over my head, so.
And we were talking about making some characters look like they're going to eat you. And like First Aid manages to look like an insect, which I don't know how you make a peg-headed, face-plated robot look like an insect, but it happened.
Well, like I said, Tailgate has a similar problem. He looks like he's out of Guyver, which is, full of horrible insectoid organic monstrosities.
And Rung goes from looking really sad to really angry, which doesn't work for Rung in either case.
No, Rung really needs to be more expressive than that. More correctly expressive is probably the best way to put it.
Rung's very expressive, but it's always very neutral. I don't understand how that works, but
and
I think it's the eyebrows.
Yeah, but I did like the bit about Rung's transformation though. That in the post where James Roberts on IDW's forums, where James Roberts was talking about how this had to be done so far in advance. Because of the toy schedule,
right.
He kind of casually mentions that small things brought up in this issue will come to be significant later. So I have a feeling we're going to find out that Rung's Rung's alternate mode is useful in the main plot for something.
Either that or it's okay. There's a cover from one of the solicitations for a couple months from now. Showing, I think, Ratchet and someone else on a planet surrounded by small robots.
Okay.
So I think the new mechanoid race that was introduced in this issue is probably going to play a role in Dark Cybertron. And if you think back to the toys again, there's that Minicon 3-pack coming out.
Oh man, I didn't even think of that. And just about all of these mechanoids were kind of shades of green in this issue, weren't they?
A little bit on the fluorescent side, but yeah.
Yeah, the toys seem to be a deeper green, but it's still, I think that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that makes sense now.
But the Rung thing is good anyway because, of course, Rung, who is basically the anomaly in all of Cybertron's history, is also the one person who completely contradicts the functionist ideal.
Mm-hmm.
Every form has a purpose except yours. No, he's an ornament, and they still spelled his name wrong.
Yes.
Literally, they spelled his name wrong. Yeah, it's not a bad issue. There's like the whole problem with this is going to be the art. I mean, everybody's going to look back at this and think that this was a well-written issue that was really hurt by the visual presentation. And it's a shame because there is things thrown in here that would be cool if done by the normal artist or done by one of the better fill-ins like Guido or Nick Roche.
Yeah.
That group shot at the last page would have been a really nice capper to this issue if it had been drawn correctly.
Yeah.
As it is, like, take Rewind in the middle. Remember the first opening for Elf? At the very end where the guy in the elf suit runs up? That's what Rewind looks like here.
Mm-hmm.
It's terrible, but all through the issue, anytime Rewind was on panel, I thought he looked like Elf.
Yeah. I can kind of see it now that you mention it.
As I was going through the issue, trying to figure out how to write the review without sounding like a horrible monster, the only thing that kept coming to mind was that if IDW ever wanted to do another book set in the movie universes, this is the perfect artist for that.
You're right.
Because he's great at making ordinary Transformers look like utter monsters.
I wonder if somehow he would make the movie Transformers look completely friendly and harmless.
Which would be entertaining in its own way.
Yes, it would.
Hey, you. Subscribe.
Hey everybody, it's your old friend John DeLuna with the ATT Buzz for Radio Free Cybertron and for the week of October 13th, 2013. So much is happening on alt.toys.transformers, so much on the legendary ATT. Let's go. Let's see. First, we've got two legendary reviewers going over thrilling 30 toys and a little toy envy. Let's dive into it. First, Dave Van Domelen. Yes, he is still alive and kicking. Oh, is he kicking on ATT? He reviewed the first wave of Thrilling 30 Deluxe toys. That's Trail Cutter, Orion Pax, Megatron, and Bumblebee. DVD gave Trail Cutter so-so reviews in both modes. He felt Orion Pax didn't feel like Orion Pax, felt like that toy was meant to be someone or something else. Megatron, good bomber mode, okay robot mode, terrible shoulders. That's an understatement. And speaking of understatements, he said Bumblebee was a decent adaptation with some color mismatching, you think. You can read Dave's full review on ATT. Head there now. And while you're over there, Zobivore. Yes, the Zobivore. He's also alive and kicking. In fact, I gotta tell you something. I haven't been on ATT in probably a decade. No exaggeration. And the first two authors I stumbled across on ATT in over a decade, DVD and Zobivore. Holding it down for the G1 originals, the OGs of ATT. Anyways, Zobivore, the man, the myth, the immortal fan, reviewed Generations Metroplex. He called it both amazingly cool and seriously disappointing. Pick a side, Zob. Please, pick a side. He points out that he's only slightly taller than Fort Max, but hey, a win's a win. That's what I say. So, Fort Max is relegated to second place, even if it's by a fraction of an inch. Zob didn't like the fact that you can't store Metroplex in his box, what with the minor assembly required when you open up Metroplex. But this was such a big deal to Zob that he actually disassembled Metroplex to see if he could do it. And he also made a reference to the turtle blimp when describing this, so shout-outs to 20-year-old references. We love you, Zob. Overall, he did like it, and I think Zobivore's review is definitely worth a read, although I must point out, that Zob has already broken his Metroplex. Anyway, for my money, Metro is a must-have. If you enjoyed the original toy, this is a darn near perfect upgrade, so highly recommended. Finally, some things like DVD and Zob never change on AT&T, and one of those is toy wish lists. So, guess who started this thread? Topher, talking about toys that he still doesn't have and still pines for, like it was 1998 all over again. Zob wants Masterpiece Rodimus, Bakon Dreadwing, Club Run Amok, and Runabout, amongst other things. Other people in that thread still want Action Master Megatron, still want the Omnibots, and people still want the Japanese metals versions of the Transmetals from Beast Wars, which are overall excellent. And apples to apples, oranges to oranges, they, for the most part, are superior. A little bit prettier than their American counterparts. Anyway, most of what I want these days is third party, which was probably a 4-letter word on ATT. And that's the ATT Buzz for the week of October 13th. For the crew, this is John DeLuna. Until next time, peace out.
Hey, this is Brian Kilby. I am sitting here speaking with the guys from Nebulan Pirate Radio, MBob, Ninja Dave, and Topher. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having us.
So we've had a few issues here trying to make this work. So hopefully, like my system doesn't explode or something, or I'm not attacked by Soviet agents during this. I'm expecting the worst. So hey, so NPR is a Transformers podcast that unlike most podcasts, we do RSC through Skype. You guys pretty much only do this like together. So you're like real life, real world friends.
Correct. Yeah, we
and also enemies. Frenemies, if you will.
Yeah. So do you guys take pride in the fact that you like prove that Transformers fans actually do have real life friends?
Oh, I think absolute pride in that. Yeah, we're bucking that trend at least.
Oh, yeah.
You know, we're trying to.
None of you guys like have a girlfriend in Canada, or though, right? Like like XV
Not
has.
yet.
No, actually, one of our girlfriends actually just appeared on the latest show, so there's voice proof that at least one of us have a real life girlfriend.
Not just girlfriend, but fiance, which means she's going to have my last name.
That's awesome. Congratulations. That's fantastic.
Thank you.
The Princess Obscure.
You know, my wife took my last name, and I'm like, why? Why would you want this? But, that's great. Some people want that, some people don't. Hey, so guys, tell me about your podcast. So what led you to do Nebulan Pirate Radio, and what's your angle? Because there's so many Transformers podcasts out there. What sets you guys apart?
Do you want me to take this?
Go ahead, Captain.
Start off.
That was his baby. Starting out. So.
Well, we all met up through Sharktacon, actually, and Retro Reboot in Charlotte, North Carolina, and just me, Topher, and Ninja Dave. We just we came together and glommed together in this really awesome just way that we knew we had chemistry together. And one of the fun things is we would sit around and we would just talk Transformers, giving our opinions, all these various other things. And I think I was like, you know what, guys, we need to put a microphone in front of us and do what we do. Mm-hmm. And I listened to RFC and I was like, okay, this corner of the market has been captured. I listened to a couple of Transformers podcasts. I went, there's that great vibe that a lot of them have, but one thing I have noticed
a lot don't, to be honest.
Yeah, some don't. That's true. But really, we just wanted to be irreverent. We wanted to be just some guys hanging around talking about Transformers. And I think what really sets us apart is we have no problem going at each other. One of the best segments we have, I think, is the thing we call the Retro Bro Down, because every podcast has a retro review of old episodes. And I went, let's take it to where one of us likes it, one of us don't, and we just have at each other. And entertainment ensues. Mm-hmm. It's a beautiful thing, is the Retro Bro Down. But I think what really sets us apart is we come at it, we evolve with it, And we are normally four entertaining guys to listen to.
I think that's a major part that people forget about doing a Transformers podcast, or a podcast in general. If nobody wants to listen to it, if the people on don't have great chemistry, there's not really going to be, that many people listening. Yeah. I mean, the potential audience is really damaged if the chemistry isn't there. And that's what I really like about you guys. You guys, work together really well.
Well, thank you very much.
Definitely. Thank you.
Yeah, the one thing we don't want to be is, you have those podcasts where they're by the numbers, they're very kind of dry. I'll be nice and say dry. And they're, the ones that are focused solely on the toys, and they deconstruct these things, and that's great. But at the same point in time, I'm like, I would rather just talk about how that made me feel, as opposed to, well, this ball joint here doesn't do this, and I'm like, I'd rather talk about why I love it than why I don't.
It's Transformers meets The View.
No,
minus the estrogen.
Oh dear God, no.
Actually, I guess at their age, the estrogen, the V doesn't have really a lot of estrogen either.
Not naturally occurring. No.
But the overall goal is to really speak more so to the common people, those that are the diehard collectors, the diehard TF fans, and those that are completely new and have no idea what this world is. We're that high five for the long timers, and we're the open arms to the newbies.
Well, and we wanted to bring back the roundtable discussion as well. I think a lot of the podcasts out there are kind of missing that for the most part. And there's something. The beautiful thing about our podcast is we get starting to talk on a topic, and Lord knows where it goes from there.
Yep. Yeah, RFC is kind of the same way. We've been several over the years. We've been several different shows. We've basically done and tried everything, and where you guys are at are kind of where we landed after couple hundred attempts, and I think it just really works well with the way the show works. What I like about it is, as you said, it's irreverent, and that's a hard thing for me to be, is irreverent. I mean, I'm a total ass, and when I'm not sitting here behind the RFC microphone, I'm completely irreverent. But when I'm doing the show, I'm kind of I guess my vision for RFC is I want to be the Tonight Show of Transformers podcast. That's where I want. That's where I want us to be. But
I gotta say, you are actually, in my opinion.
Thank you. I don't know about that, but that's my vision of where I want us to be. But I can't be really irreverent and be the Tonight Show podcast. And what I like about hearing you guys is the fact that you guys just don't give a shit like that. It's just say what you say, and you how you feel it and what it is. It's great.
We want to be the Daily Show of Transformers podcast.
Yes.
There you go.
There we go.
We want to bring the fun back into it, because it's just dealing with Sharkticon. We encountered a lot of fans who they really felt alone in a lot of things, in a lot of their fandom. They're collecting and what have you, and they're just feeling like they're just on an island, just doing their own thing. And we are, I guess, an example of how, hey, you don't have to be the alone, that alone person. There are people out there that are into stuff just like you. So find them and mix it up with them.
Yeah. So you guys, when you were putting Sharkticon together, because of course you were on the team that did Sharkticon, in putting it together, that's how you guys sort of pretty much came together and came up with this idea. So the experience at Sharkticon and dealing with all of the fans, how did that really affect the direction that the show has gone since then?
We started recording these a little bit before Sharkticon began. And one thing that Sharkticon made me realize is there's a wide audience out there that is a lot more than I thought it was. But there was a great little bit of moment during one of the panels where me and Chris had to pretty much entertain the crowd, waiting because the voice actors were learning their lines, and the chemistry right there was there. You could feel it in the crowd, and I thought, we have something special, and if we get people to listen, I think we're going to have something that people will appreciate, and I think they'll pick it up across through the speakers.
I like how stuff goes through the speakers.
Yeah,
that's pretty. I mean, that's pretty much how it is. If you don't feel it, you can. I can do a show and I can think that the show is great. So, but everybody can listen to it and think it was crap. Most of the time, when I do a show and I think it was crap, that's when I get the most feedback. It's like, oh, this was great. It's the way that it's how people receive it. It's how people feel it. And it's being able to convey all of this information, just being for me, like I said, I sit here and record the show and we do it over Skype. You guys are together, but being able to convey like your thoughts and feelings and opinions and all of this and share it with somebody halfway across the world, through their computer, through their iPhone, their Android phone, their iPod, whatever, it's really awesome. It's really powerful. Yeah. And I think the fact that you guys are, just sort of came together the way you did and you're able to do this. I just really, I think it's novel. I just think it's just really cool. So, so starting, let's see here. So we're recording this on October 17th. I think I mentioned during the show that starting this coming weekend, we're actually going to be, we're going to have you on the website. I'm looking to have this up by, it's October 17th, by probably Sunday, October 20th. So when people go there, what do they expect to see? So you have the show, Nebulan Pirate Radio. Do you have anything else? Any spinoffs? Is the
absolutely
Retro Bro-Down? That's part of the show, right? Or is that separate?
That's a separate spinoff on its own. We decided to let it. We think it can handle itself. Topher heads up our really fun toy chest. Topher.
And basically, on that show, what we do is we review figures, any and all. It doesn't matter. The more obscure, the more fun I'm having, because I specialize in the obscure figures. And basically,
what's an example? What's an example of a figure?
Of an obscure figure?
Yeah, something obscure.
How about my collectors club that's coming? That the Ninja and MBob and I are going threesies on. That Waspinator. Oh goodness, what is it called there, Roddy? I can't think.
Thrustinator.
Yes, Thrustinator.
Thrustinator Madness. I don't know. We're gonna put that up on eBay or something.
No, we're not putting it up. I'm gonna frame it. I'm going to shelf it, and I'm going to love it.
No
one else would do it.
Will you call it George?
No, I won't call it George.
You'll pet it and you'll love it, and yeah.
Yeah, I won't call it George, but I will pet it and love it. Occasionally, it may sleep with me.
Hi-oh. Then we also the other one we have is the bookshelf, and that is pretty much actually it's the book club, isn't it?
Yep, it essentially is.
It's the bookshelf.
It's the book. Now the bookshelf's something different. Now the book club, which is what it got renamed into, we don't review individual issues. What we do is we review storylines, like almost like we treat them like novels almost. Like our first one was the Remain in Light from More Than Meets the Eye.
Yeah, the story arc vignettes.
Yeah, so we kind of treat it sort of like a book club will, where we just analyze the crap out of it. What it means, its connotations, what's underneath it. What we liked, what we didn't like. We analyze it within an inch of its life.
Indeed. We have other ideas on the way as well, but those are the main two that kind of came out of the main podcast. And as we grow, and as we record each episode, we evolve, and that's essentially the hallmark of what Transformers fans are. Evolution.
The main problem we had was we had all these segments, and then we had news, we had comic book reviews, we had the Bro Down in there, and then we had a main topic, and then we found out we really talk a lot about everything. So
we had planned it out for maybe an hour and a half, and it was going almost 3 hours at that time. we had to edit down. We just sat around just talking about it,
Our fourth episode, it felt like it felt like the time was just flying by because, you know, we sit down and think we're doing an hour. And by the time you look at your watch, it's like, oh man, all this time is passing and we're still having a good time with the interaction.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, our main the realization that we were doing too much time was when I had to cut episode 4 into 2 halves.
Yeah.
2 separate 2-hour deals. So that was I was like, okay, I got to start pruning.
Yeah, I try to time stuff out. Normally I do a pretty good job, but sometimes I'll have the occasional 2.5-hour episode. I mean, not that common. I think this week's episode is going to be about 2.5 hours.
Right
probably
on.
2 hours, but yeah. I mean, I think, you know, for most shows, 2 hours, I don't really want to listen to a 2-hour show because especially if somebody's just droning on and boring. But when people are enjoying themselves like you guys do and people like each other, you know.
Oh, it does. It
doesn't get
flies.
Yeah, it doesn't get old.
Not at all. And it's and that's what always amazes me. I go in, I'm like, all right, we got bare bones now. We touch some news, and we do the main topic, and we still are hugging that 2-hour mark because we just get in, we start riffing, and we just start going, and we have the outline, but that does not necessarily mean we adhere to it strictly.
Not at all.
Yeah, I know how that is. We basically had to change the outline of RFC. We would have a topic every week. But as more and more news started coming out and all this third-party stuff, we started focusing more on that. And we enjoy talking about that stuff. And, you know, it's sometimes we can just rib on stuff for like 10 minutes, like a news article. And it's fun to listen to. It's fun to listen to. And, you know, we might do a topic that we've done 2 years ago, because there's a finite number of topics in all honesty that you can really cover. And it just became easier to just focus on the news. As long as you add value to the news, you're not just reading the news. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, the old tformers.com podcast, you know, I really like Anthony, the guy that did that show. But his format was pretty much, they would just pretty much do the news. They would literally read it straight each week. And I think if my podcast was me reading the news each week just straight, I would probably slit my wrist.
Yeah.
Only Ted Koppel can read the news and not lose interest.
And that's just the way it is.
Yeah, just straight through.
Well,
yeah, that's our thing. When we handled the news, I think I cherry picked maybe 5, no more than 5, that actually just pique my interest. Or pique our interest, and we'll talk about that because I'm not really that concerned with, you know, because RFC, I think you guys handle the news section beautifully. There's no need for me to cover.
You got listeners that don't listen to RFC. They need the news as well.
They get some news, and they'll get the irreverent point of view of that news. Because we were all over that Hasbro Harmony Gold thing. We were hoping for a long haul.
Oh, yeah.
We were having so much fun.
We were anticipating government shutdown levels of. I think it's to the fandom. I think it speaks to the fandom that there's always some news coming out. I mean, there are times when we have dry spells, but because the fandom is so expansive, I mean, we have, you know, if Hasbro's not doing something, then someone over, you know, Takara's doing something, or third parties doing something, or some of the fans are doing something, and there are conventions going on. They're kind of spread out throughout the year, so there's always something to report, and there's always someone willing to listen to, you know, what's going on, and you know, we love doing that.
Yeah, but there are, I mean, you know, news is cyclical, like periods between usually after BotCon or after Toy Fair. Period between Toy Fair and BotCon, sometimes it can be kind of dry. It's sometimes it's a little hard to get news then. But you know, BotCon's always lots of news. Toy Fair always lots of news. So there are periods when the cup runneth over, and there are periods when you kind of just have to make do with what you can make do with. So I mean, that's pretty much the way that we do it, or that we found. We once we actually started moving into more third-party news, though, because now there's more third-party news than first-party news. And it's kind of ridiculous, honestly, because when you have 4 or 5 different versions of the same character coming out from 4 or 5 different companies, I think we're in a bubble right now.
Oh, we absolutely are, and I'm.
You can't the zenith at that point. Yeah.
You know, I'm waiting. See, that's what we're doing. We're just collectively waiting for that third-party bubble to bust, and then we're just going to sweep in and collect all the remnants and make it better.
Yes, that's exactly what I hope. I want to see that happen.
You know, from the ashes of all these multiple, from the ashes of all these multiple Predakings will rise one decent Monstructor.
That would be nice. Get a Monstructor, and then later on get a Dino King out of it. That would be great.
Exactly, and let's finish up that Headmaster stuff.
Oh yeah. I want to get a good brainstorm out of this before it's all said and done.
Mm-hmm.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. Yeah. If there's anything that I think anyone's going to walk away from Nebulan Pirate Radio, they're going to realize that we don't care about upsetting Hasbro or Takara because we're not looking for anything from them, and we're not really big fans of Brian Savage. So we like being the guys that sit in the back and toss spitballs at the stage.
You can hear our show on Stitcher Smart Radio. Stitcher allows you to listen to your favorite shows directly from your iPhone, Android phone, BlackBerry, or Palm phones. On demand and on the go. Don't have Stitcher? Download it for free today at Stitcher.com or in the app stores. Stitcher Smart Radio, the smarter way to listen to radio.
It's another Prime Retro review from your favorite fangirls. I am Amy.
I am Nick. Hello.
Hello. And before we review today, I just wanted to say a happy anniversary to the RFC crew, as this month of October marks the passage of another awesome podcasting year. Woohoo!
Woohoo! I mean, that's crazy.
14 years, actually. It's 14 years for RFC. It's just crazy.
That's a long time.
Yeah, I know.
Jeez.
I mean, I think they took a couple breaks in between there, but yeah.
It's been around for that long, so.
Yeah. And now they have 2 fangirls. Woohoo! They didn't have us starting out.
Exactly.
So. All right. So today for review is episode 13 of season 1, called Metal Attraction, which was written by our friend Nicole Dubach. And it originally aired July 9th of 2011. And just a little heads up, she also goes off after season 1 to write a lot of the rescue bots. So, and you can follow her on Twitter.
She's a cool gal. She's fun. So.
I have gotten a chance to meet her. She bought one of my Wreck and Rule shirts.
There you go. See? Now how cool is that?
Yeah. That was fantastic. Every single time I think about it, do a little squeak. Oh, goodness. So, on our last review, June was let in on the secret science fiction club that Jack is a member of. Namely, the Autobots let her in on the secret handshake, because now she shows up regularly at the Auto base, and that's how this episode starts. But it's more cramping the style of our hip teenager and making the bots eye roll at her motherly antics and questions about safety.
Especially a certain other bots.
Yes. So, Nicole, bringing June into the club, good idea or bad idea?
Well, I got mixed emotions because, you know what, whenever this series started, well, any kind of series, you're just like, where are the adult supervision? Now that they have it, here's your question. What would happen if they had adult supervision? And honestly, I don't think June is a horrible helicopter mom, as Miko calls her.
Yes.
I mean, she just, hello, it's cool robots. I would like to get in there too,
Oh, yeah.
Come on. Doesn't she think this is a cool thing? Yeah, she's going to worry about Jack more because she knows that he's into some big stuff now. But yeah, I don't think it's always a bad thing. But
there's definitely those uncomfortable moments where, like, she gets out of the car and says, "Oh, and I wore heels and everything." It's like, what was she meaning by that? Are you saying that you're coming on to Optimus Prime or what? You wore heels and everything. But then I also thought, hey, maybe she's kind of like, when you meet the president, do you dress a little nicer?
Exactly.
So
I remember when she said that. I mean, everyone was like, "What's going on?" You remember that?
She's so girly. And that's more girly than we've had on the show at this point, because like Miko is definitely not a girly girl, and RC is not a girly girl either.
See, and she's got a rough job, She wears scrubs every day, So.
True. So it's always good to wear heels for once, because anyhow, there's a few things that it does open up an interesting conundrum with the idea of having a parent there that's going to ask parent questions like, is that safe? Or it's not safe for Miko, so why is it for Jack? And but it kind of adds really good conflict too. So you definitely tell everybody is a little uncomfortable with the situation. So and as like other episodes, there's definitely a problem that this episode investigates, as a signal is found shortly after June's arrival, which Ratchet, he's going to send Bulkhead off to investigate, and RC blows off Jack to go with him to keep from being scrutinized by June, because that's always annoying, right?
Yep.
It's annoying for the teenagers, it's annoying for the
Autobots.
Autobots.
For sure.
Although I have to say, I don't think Ratchet would, find it annoying. There's this doctor-nurse thing going on between them. It's respect points, man.
They're professional.
Yeah. Well, the bots aren't the only ones to find this signal. The Decepticons do too, and Breakdown wants to prove himself after the whole mech incident, so he's dispatched to check it out. And he finds the item that he's looking for, but he's interrupted by Arachnid, because she's still hanging around, as she just arrived a couple episodes ago. So she also wants the item that he finds, and they have a fun little smackdown.
For a while, I love this. I love this battle.
It was a good battle because you don't see her do this until, I think this is the first time she's ever done this, where she drills down and she drags him down in the dirt
that was
too.
So cool.
That was super creepy. It totally fit her character, and I really, really liked it, because the way that they showed the animation, like he goes down into it and then they have the rocks coming in, and I was like,
being buried alive.
It was just, it was creepy. I thought, I wanted to point that out, that was kind of creepy, because you thought, oh crap, because he's metal and he's gonna get stuck in the in the ground. That is gonna slow the guy down. So, but it's also Breakdown, who's really strong and buff and just breaks out of there. So. Which, hey, it's all in the name. It's Breakdown. But back to the bots. RC and Bulkhead are on location when Miko shows up, because
imagine that, because she's always straggling along.
Yes. You can't break up the Miko Bulkhead team, right?
Exactly.
Well, and because RC is the hip chick who, although her first instinct is to call for a ground bridge, Miko makes a plea not to be returned to the base with the base mom, and she's like, oh yeah, I don't want to make you subjected to that, so yeah, okay, we'll let you tag along, but be good, type of thing. My personal take, though, was that at this point, you kind of start to see these strong parallels to June and RC.
Exactly.
Because she points out, she starts, she says, oh, let her tag along, as long as things are safe, because this is just supposed to be recon. And then the whole, as they're walking along, how Bulkhead and they start playing music, and she's like, hey, a scout is supposed to be silent but deadly.
That was funny. And they started laughing.
Yeah, it was funny because Miko and Bulkhead have been like, they're a team, man. They've been discussing this stuff. Miko's from a different country, right? She's like, host
She's from
parents.
Japan.
Yeah. So like when it comes to being in a different area and like, getting the puns and stuff like that, I'm sure that she's kind of been there. So like her integrating an alien robot from another planet, she's going to kind of cue these little things, because she's probably not so long ago had been the one that didn't get that, right?
Sure.
So I thought, it made perfect sense, but it also kind of showed how together these guys are.
I just think it's cute. It's when because RC's just like, oh, you could feel the tension RC's been having. She's just like, one of these days.
Well, and she also mentions at this point that she's like the third wheel in this relationship.
And everywhere I go, I'm the third wheel,
Because that's what it's been like since June has gotten back, right?
Yeah,
it's like,
exactly.
I don't know where I fit. Where's that female vibe going, right?
Exactly.
They're going to upset the status quo. Oh, goodness. So our recon group run into Arachnid and break down, beating it out. And after telling Miko to stay, because she's a good little dog, not.
When was the last time Miko stayed?
Yeah, I know. So the bots join the fight. Another nice battle ensues. RC and Arachnid, Bulkhead and Breakdown, while Miko watches from the rocks and takes pictures. Because she's going to scrap it, right? Scrapbook it. She doesn't come across as the scrapbooking type, just saying.
She has a major... She must have a lot of gigs in that little phone of hers.
Yeah.
Because she takes a lot of pictures.
Or she downloads it every evening.
Yeah, that's true.
So, okay, so eventually the bots... smack the cons down, and Breakdown then activates the object that they find. I can't remember, it was like some sort of gauntlet or...
Yeah, it's the...
I
like
didn't...
a magnetizing gauntlet, yeah.
Okay.
I forgot what it was called now.
Yeah, I wasn't paying attention to the title of it either.
Yeah,
I'm a
sorry.
bad reviewer. No, I just thought...
Sorry,
I thought I would just call it what it does. It's like a polarizing device.
Yeah.
Because it polarizes, it either detracts or attracts. Anyhow. So Breakdown activates the object, and Arachnid tries to escape. But at this point, it's messing with the magnetics and the metal as the bots get stuck together, and Breakdown drives off with it. And RC becomes the butt of the jokes as she's stuck on Bulkhead's backside.
Amy.
Couldn't help it, man.
Oh, Amy.
From here on in, it's like every little pun that's made. It's like, oh, somebody's got your back, and it's just she becomes the butt of the jokes. It's great. And they explain the situation at that point because the cons have left. They contact the auto base and they discuss about the results. And they need to go find the polarity device before it's in the hands of Megatron because, hey, all of the Autobots are metal. This is not a good thing. RC wants to send Miko back, and the association that RC is momming it up is also played a bit. So it was like, oh, man, you're just like that mom, the helicopter mom. June overhears that. She's like, am I really that bad?
I like June, though. June's cool.
She could be a whole lot worse. She really could be.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
She's like played that devil's advocate. Well, if it's safe for one person, why is it not for the other?
Exact. Yeah, totally different mom. I love that part.
It was really good. Okay, so meanwhile, Breakdown and Arachnid again smack it down for the polarity device. Bulkhead and RC engage Arachnid because after they send Miko back, they go find these guys because, they're not going to let Megatron get this. And they engage Arachnid when she gains the gauntlet from incapacitating knockdown. Did I say that wrong?
Breakdown.
I put knockout. I don't know what it is, but I keep on getting knockout and Breakdown messed up.
I'm pretty sure a lot of people do that. So.
And they're different people. It's Breakdown and knockout are two. Knockout because he's so nice looking. He's a knockout.
Uh-huh.
I just keep on writing the wrong one in here. It's like, so aggravating. Okay,
it's all good. It's all good.
I wrote it down in my notes that way. Darn teleprompter. Boom, boom. Okay. Yeah, where's the autocorrect on that, man? Sorry, I'm more intelligence in my technology. Okay, so again, another fight ensues. This time, Bulkhead and RC get pinned back to back fighting cons, which I thought was lovely. And I know we've mentioned it before, but again, the fight scenes are really well choreographed and they're always interesting. And they're just, they're each unique. They all have these different things. They try to put them in different situations. I've always been really impressed with the fight scenes in Transformers Prime.
Oh, I know. It's amazing. I mean, first of all, I think Transformers Prime looks beautiful. And, the fight scenes are really engaging as well. So, I agree.
Yeah. So we go from the bots being stuck together and fighting back to back to the fembots stuck together. RC gains the device momentarily and Arachnid gets it back. But in the end, the bots get the final smackdown and they leave the scene before the cons can get back up and go after the gauntlet. So the Autobots got the gauntlet. Yay!
Yay!
And the ending of this beautiful and frustrating mom issue wraps up with an acknowledgement of their relationships. Bulkhead and RC are Cramp and Miko style now. She's like, oh, they finish each other's sentences.
What was one of my favorite lines was when Ratchet was explaining everything, and he's like, "There's certain attraction. They are not attracted to each other."
I know. Miko getting a little bit of jealousy in there, right?
Oh, slightly,
just a little bit. That's my best friend. Oh goodness. And June letting RC know that there's this mom thing of letting her go of her son, and I didn't ever think that he'd be going off with a girl like you.
Yeah, I thought that was. I didn't think you're the type of girl that he would, replace you with.
Yeah, just a little bit different, man. Hey, it's new and hip. And Breakdown, he returns back to the cons with an arachnid stuck to his backside, who says, "It's good to be back," with a little smirk.
It's a very punful episode, that's for sure.
Yeah. Very, very. So relationship dynamics, thoughts?
It's going to be a learning experience for those two, that's for sure.
Yeah. Oh, jeez. It's good to see Arachnid has finally joined the con ranks. She definitely belongs.
Yes,
with all the creepy things that she's done since she's been introduced to the planet Earth. So, and yeah, the human moments in this episode just made me laugh.
There's a lot, like I said, it was very punful, and
being a mom myself, I guess I could see
you
June's situation. Go, oh June, bless you. I was like, hey, can I join the club? Hey, can I go on missions too? Hey, look, I brought sandwiches. It's just funny. It's just the funny little things that I thought, oh yeah, I could totally see myself doing that. I'm sorry. My kid's going, Mom, please don't come here again. Oh, goodness. So that's our review. How can the good followers of RFC find you now, Nicole?
Yay! I'm actually back online. So
she's got video this time. Woohoo!
Yay! You could go find me on Twitter at Beatles Diva. Beatles like the band, not the bug. Cool. Or you could find me on Facebook at Nicole D. Hale. Awesome. And those are basically the two places you could find me. So.
Yep. Awesome.
What about you, Amy?
I am on Twitter as Lady of Rec. I tweet comic stuff a lot because, of course, I run the Underbase, and we review Transformers comics there. So I like to stay up on the news, and I tweet it out as soon as I can. So if you want to be there, you want to find out stuff as it's happening, if I find out as soon as it's happening, I usually tweet it out there. So, but you can also buy my fantastic Transformer-inspired T-shirts on Etsy at Wrecked Apparel as well.
There you go.
And there's
some fun stuff there.
Oh yeah,
there's some fun stuff. So.
Wreck and Rule. It's classic. Yep. So we'll see you on our next review. Thanks for tuning in.
Aloha.
Ciao.
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 I'm running away from home. My parents are mean. Where will you go? I'm not sure, but I'll show them.
That's right. You'll show them how mean you can be.
Bumblebee.
Isn't it better to try to solve problems instead of running away from them?
Maybe I could try talking to my parents again.
Yeah, tell them how you feel. And remember, running away
leads nowhere. Now I know.
And knowing is half the battle.
The Transformers!
Hello, this is the RFC computer. For some reason I am listening to a radio, and that radio is broken. The radio only plays clips, which seem to be strategically chosen from our XC's 14-year history. Ha ha ha! I need to call the radio repair guy. Here, let me play it for you. It's very odd, you see. It's almost like an RXC clip show. But why would my radio do that?
Hello and welcome to the first broadcast of Radio Free Cybertron. I'm your host and friend, Brian Kilby. Some of you may know me, and some of you probably don't. In fact, I believe that most of you wouldn't. You may know me, though, from alt.toys.transformers, or you may see me around on IRC. I am 20 years old. I'm a college student here in northwestern North Carolina, and I disc jockey for a small AM radio station here called WWWC. I am an avid Transformers collector and an all-around good guy.
Greetings, Trans fans. This is the ATT Buzz. You know, the news group has hit hard times lately. Intelligent discussion is giving way to flames and fights. And the reason is pretty obvious. It's beast machines. This week was especially bad, with the revelations that Silverbolt is the Viacon Thrust, and Rhinox is the Viacon Tankor. Oh, and Cybertron was once completely organic, and the Maximals, thanks to the Oracle, are now on a mission to get it back that way. You know, as nasty as all these story arcs seem, it's nothing compared to the bad vibes that go through ATT right now on a daily basis. In fact, don't be surprised if we see an Alt Toys Beast Wars group arise before all of this is over.
You're listening to Radio Free Cybertron. Your host, Turin.
Hello and welcome to Radio Free Cybertron. It's Friday, December 17th, 1999. Just 8 more days until Christmas. Let's all wish for Transformers under the tree this year. This will be the first Christmas I've spent at home in a long time. The last few years I just went skiing. I haven't really been into the obligatory public holidays lately. Most of my family is rugged individualists anyway, so we don't mind just blowing off the holiday and going and doing something fun.
Oh, and thank Primus that Optimus Minor did not make the show. I can see it now. One of those monkey kids, Una, or her boy brother, finds the Transmetal driver and the nightmare begins. Oh, and finally, only ATT can take a thread titled The Autobots' Hidden Master and turn it into a rambling, raving debate over Megatron's origin, symbols of slavery, and pink rabbits. I love this news group, and that's the ATT Buzz. I'm John DeLuna.
In a time of turmoil and poverty, in a country of all talk and no action, there stands one candidate for president that towers above the rest. A born leader with proven results, interested only in positive change for this country and all its citizens.
I, Optimus Prime, leader of the Autobots.
Optimus Prime for president. A proven leader. Paid for by Optimus Prime for 2000.
Hello, this is Rob from the Bot Files for RFC. Today I'm going to be reviewing G1 Bumblebee and Cliffjumper. Well, not exactly G1. They're the recent keychains put out by Fun for All. They're really the same toy as before, just they got a little extra little loop of plastic on their, I guess that'd be their left shoulder, with a little detachable keychain attached. And it's not really much of a keychain, it's just like a little chain that's got a little clip where you can attach to really anything. But aside from that, they're really the same toys. Although I think Cliffjumper is a little darker red. Bumblebee's more of a cardinal yellow, but well, they're what you remember.
Review of Battle Unicorn. First of all, we're going to talk about the Beast mode. First thing that kind of strikes your eye is the translucent plastic blue, which is really cool. Also, the main, which has some orange and red vacuumized metal, which is really sweet, and a point that I definitely like. The gimmick in this mode is the headbutt action, which is lame. Really lame. But it basically you turn the knob on this shoulder, and then it goes down.
Thanks, John. We will have the tank oil review coming up here in a few moments. But first up, we will have the review of Tiger Hawk by my friend Goldemus Prime.
Tiger Hawk is a transmetal to Fusor. Tiger Hawk Beast Mode appears to be a white tiger and what seems to be eagle Fusor. The box calls him a Transmetal 2, but I believe the term Transmetal Fusor works better for the character.
Boys and girls, your attention, please. Presenting a new exciting radio program featuring the thrilling adventures of an amazing and incredible personality.
Radio Free Cybertron.
About a week ago, I came back from OTFIC. For those not in the know, that's the official Transformers Collectors Convention. We call it OTFIC for short. Make sure to stress that it's FIC. Otherwise, it's vulgar. But we did go to the convention, or I went to the convention myself last week. Went alone. Had the worst experience in my life in many ways. I rode the bus. I have learned a valuable lesson. Never ride the bus. The trip there was fine. It was okay. It was a little cramped, but I'm a big guy. But the trip back, it was interesting. Thought I was going to get stabbed in Knoxville, Tennessee, at the Greyhound station. The police routinely go by those places for a reason, because they're seedy, grimy pits of despair. Now, the place, if you've never been in a bus station in a big city, now Cincinnati had a nice station. Let me say that first. Cincinnati was clean, huge. But every other place I went, except for Johnson City, Tennessee, which was just sort of, I guess it was sort of depressed. That's probably the best way to put it. But other than Cincinnati and Johnson City, Tennessee, every place else I went looked really, really ghetto. Not to say that there's anything wrong with being in a ghetto. There certainly is not. It's not the most preferential environment to be in, I'm certain. But it was pretty down and out. And I'm amazed that I got out with my life. Not that bad, but I'm never riding the bus again. The trip back, I rode behind a transgendered person, which, again, there's nothing wrong with being transgendered, I don't suppose. But being that I live in a small town with conservative values, it's, well, pretty much something I'm not experienced with. The person kept tapping me on the back and asking me if I was going to where they were going, and I was. But thankfully, right off of that bus, I got on another bus and went home. When I did get home, my cat was very thankful to see me, and I was very thankful to be alive. I got a Unicron brand new as soon as it came out. I was like, yeah! I'm going to be the first person in the country to review this thing, but no, it never works out that way, does it? Oh well.
And there's Earth, of course, and Cybertron. Well, Cybertron's gone in the first episode. Spoiler alert. Crap, I'm sorry. But then again, you pretty much know the concept already. The whole idea is they're traveling to save Cybertron and blah, blah, blah. So you got Cybertron keys for the guys that are native to Cybertron, and you got the Earth keys, which guys are... I'm kind of confused on that one. Like, are they native to Earth? Or is it just because they've been on Earth that they get the Earth energy? It's probably that. And there's going to be a couple more planets revealed as time goes. But it's kind of up in the air what those would be themed about. Maybe we have an Animorph planet. That'll go over well. And we'll have the
the Abraham Lincoln planet where all the Transformers have really long hats on, and they give long speeches. We'll have Tennis Planet, and all the Transformers play tennis. It'll be nice.
Hey, you're listening to Radio Free Cybertron. This is Brian Kilby, December 13th, 2008. No, I didn't say December 13th, 2002. Not December 13th, 2003. Or even December 13th, 1999. This is 2008. It's actually been about 4 years since I sat behind the microphone here. But I uncovered something quite special. And you are listening to Radio Free Cybertron. This is your host, Brian Kilby. A little late. We've missed a week, and a lot of stuff has happened. We've had a new Transformers cartoon, Transformers Cybertron. Transformers Cybertron is the third cartoon in the series of Transformers Armada and Transformers Energon. So this is the first time we've had 3 series tied together in such a way in America, and it's been pretty cool, even though the series itself kind of sucks. Also, a few other things have happened since last week. BotCon's been held in Texas, Kentucky, Rhode Island, Ohio, and California. We've had a Transformers movie, which is kind of cool, that, never really thought that would happen, but, we've had a Transformers movie, and we've had a Transformers sequel since last week because, well, the first Transformers movie made tons and tons of money. And also we've had another cartoon. It's amazing. Transformers Animated. Yeah, and, that's kind of a funny name, I know, but I think if we give it a shot, it'll prove to be pretty good. Also, what else have we had? We've had basically a full-scale G1 revival in this subline called Transformers Classics, and it's been followed up in the Transformers Universe line, which is personally a favorite of mine, and has been for the last couple of years since it started. We've also, in the fandom, we've had a whole slew, and a slew is a very southern word, I know, but I am southern, a slew of Transformers internet radio shows. They're calling themselves podcasts. I don't know why, but we welcome our Transformers internet radio show brethren. Let's see here. There have been lots of fans that have come in since last week because of the success of Transformers Cybertron and, of course, Transformers the movie. Not to be confused with their favorite 1986 Transformers movie and its new sequel in Transformers Animated. But lots of new fans, lots of new stuff going on here at Radio Free Cybertron. We're glad to be back. It's been a long week, but we are here for you.
Oh, I just found out that my radio is defective. That's why it's playing this crap. I'll just have Brian buy me a new one.
The deadly inhumanoid tendril lashes out, and the forest comes alive as the redwoods help their scientist friends.
Nasty redwoods! Inhumanoids! Inhumanoids! The evil that lies within! Redline and other figures sold separately from Hasbro. Inhumanoids!
So we're back. As I started off on the show mentioning, it's our 14th anniversary show. 14 years. I first posted RFC October 15th, 1999. That was like last millennium, last century. So that was a while ago, and most of us are old farts, except for Diecast. Diecast is a little bit younger than the rest of us, but not that much younger.
Oh, yeah, not much.
Like 31?
31.
Yeah.
Oh, God, that's about the same age.
Yeah, it's close enough.
It's not like it's like 21 or something.
In 99, I was in 10th grade, I think.
It's not like he's Peter.
Not helping.
In 99, I was a senior at the senior home of South Fort Lauderdale. But God, so much stuff has happened since we actually started the show. You probably heard in the segment that led into this one, we'd mentioned some stuff like John was complaining about Beast Machines and what Beast Machines was doing to Alt Toys Transformers back in '99. And the funniest part of that that John said is, like, don't be surprised if we have an Alt Toys Transformers Beast Wars by the time this is all said and done. Which, really, people were complaining about it. Beast Machines was an upheaval. It wasn't the upheaval that Beast Wars was. But it was certainly a drastic change from Beast Wars. It'd be kind of like Transformers Prime being... I would say this is unfair, but Transformers Prime getting a season 4 and season 4 basically being rescue bots or rescue heroes. That's a stretch, but that's how people took it to begin with.
I think. Well, I don't know. I mean, yeah, I guess.
But it was an upheaval.
Okay,
basically.
it wasn't upheaval, but I think there were other reasons.
Yeah,
but yeah.
But so much stuff has happened since then. Robots in Disguise, that entirely happened in the course of history since we started. And that was a complete sea change for Transformers. We went back to vehicles. And, I really expected that to be sort of like, oh, hey, we're back to vehicles now. What Beast series is coming after this? But, there wasn't one. That was pretty much the shift. We went to vehicles and mostly it. I mean, certainly we've had Beasts since then, but they have not been the focus of any line that I can think of.
I mean, going back to vehicles brought a lot of people back to Transformers.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and that's right, GD. Rob, vehicles brought you back.
Yeah. Armada Supercon Prime specifically brought me back.
I was one of those guys that was pissed off. I was pissed off and happy at the same time. I'm like, vehicles are back. They suck.
They didn't suck at first.
Well, luckily I kind of ignored Robots in Disguise as a toy line for whatever reason. So, Armada was a pleasant surprise. I think that was too early for me to be waist deep in Gundam. I'm not quite sure why I didn't buy any Robots in Disguise, but I bought everything from Robots in Disguise. That was, I think, pretty much the first series. Maybe Beast Wars, everything after Transmetals. I was pretty convinced
guess who was the sucker that bought it from Japan?
Chris Triplett. Wait, no, I think Chris Triplett bought it at a convention before it was released.
I remember coming off of Beast Machines being just so totally beat down by that series and just not enjoying myself.
There's some highs and some lows.
Yeah, I think, and then we got Robots in Disguise. And
there's a lot of lows in that series.
I was happy to get Robots in Disguise, and we got all those great, wonderful toys. And then we go to Armada, and there we go again. Rob said he was pleasantly surprised, and that's not two words I would put with Armada.
So I thought for a second you were being sarcastic because you're 180 degrees out of phase with reality, Don.
See, here's what's interesting, though, is that Beast Machines has stood the test of time in the sense that series is actually good. We were just too
passionate about Beast Wars at the time.
We were too ashholeless, about Beast Wars to know it. We drank the Kool-Aid, we bought into Bob and Larry, and we were not going to accept anything but that. We got into the drama of it, of the behind the scenes stuff. And Robots in Disguise came along and we're like, okay, this is something different. And you know what? It doesn't stand the test of time. No. The anime is fine, and the U.S. dub, I get it. I know there's a lot of people that love that. Those toys are not good.
Oh, exactly. The toys, I can't think of a toy off the top of my head from that series that was original to that series that doesn't suck. Yeah. But, after that, we got Armada, and we had basically proclaimed Armada on a early show, around 2000, when we, looked back at the previous 10 years. We basically proclaimed Armada the best Transformers series of all time, and I still stand by that. Maybe not the best figures, but with originality and ingenuity, I still think Armada is close to being the top, if not the top. And Don's just wanting to punch me in the face right now.
I think overall, I think if you are going to take everything into account, the show, the originality, the figures, take it all into account, I think that's the best Blitz, hands down.
Yeah,
can I take it all into account and throw it in a trash can?
You'd be wrong, Don.
You'd be wrong, Don.
So also to piss Don off, later on we got, sort of back into the G1-ish sort of vibe. because Armada, Energon, and Cybertron, back to vehicles, but not very G1-ish. Because, of course, somehow G1 is the standard that we have to judge everything. We got alternators, and I would put alternators just above Robots in Disguise.
Totally.
In my
this
list.
is where I get angry, because
alternators. Alternators is another we drank the Kool-Aid line.
Pretty much.
Because we got it all into robots, and we thought, okay, the vehicles are great, and let's get it into G1, G1er, woohoo. And alternators come out, and we're like, oh my god, it's like real cars that turn into robots. It's totally like G1. Oh man, and we kept buying them, and we're like, these are kind of crap, but we have to keep buying them.
I really like Smokescreen. I still, to this day, I still think Smokescreen's a pretty darn good toy.
I think if Smokescreen had been the only toy to come out of that line,
I would be fine with it.
Probably would have been like, that was really neat. Boy, it would have been cool if they did more, and we could just dream that they did more instead of them actually having created more crap that came out of
it. It really trailed off. It trailed off pretty quick.
And rapidly. I mean, they just drove off a cliff. They totally Thelma and Louised that entire series of figures.
So where Masterpiece is going these days with toys that are really nicely engineered and we're getting like 1 or 2 a year, they didn't do that with alternators. We got,
blitz that.
It wasn't like 70 toys a year. I mean, it was probably 5 or 6.
Okay, but in terms of a comparison to how much it took to engineer those figures properly, and then for them to be, for the price point and everything, they blitzed them.
Comparatively speaking.
Comparatively, they blitzed them.
But yes,
All I'm gonna say is, if you're buying the Masterpiece small scale figures and you like them, and you don't like alternators, which is a very close cousin of what we're seeing now, something is not balancing out. That's just my opinion.
I would put it this way. Masterpiece, more fine art. Most of the later alternators, more Crayola drawings. I would say they're more primitive.
Here's the thing: alternators was trying to be actual vehicles that turned into sort of G1 characters. Alternators is trying to be anime style Transformers that turn into anime style cars and things like that. They're not. I don't think they're slavishly trying to adhere to actual vehicles as much. I think they're trying to be more anime style, and I'm fine with that.
I knew this would be controversial, by the way.
I look at the alternators as like the pre-movie line. I mean, I think this is where the evolution of the figure went. If you would go from G1 to alternators and then to the movie figures,
you would probably slit your wrist. That's how I would respond.
Is that
it's a total evolution.
If I basically had G1, if I had G1 alternators in the movie figures to like live by, I wouldn't be a Transformers fan.
Yeah, I think I would have myself.
I would have given up.
But I do agree with you, Diecast, in that alternators is the line that taught me that there is a level of complexity I don't want my Transformers to exceed, and the movie line in very many ways followed through on that.
Yeah.
So maybe Diecast is right in that respect.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the series. I think if we'd stayed with Smokescreen, maybe a couple of the other figures, like Silver Streak, which is the same.
Hound was pretty nice.
Hound was okay.
Hound. Trax is a very good figure.
Trax is okay.
Rodimus was a good figure.
I never got Rodimus or Mirage.
I argue with you on Trax. I do not think Trax was that good.
I never found Mirage, and I never bought Rodimus. So
I think if you had gotten that mold, you would have seen.
Would have changed my mind.
Yeah, well, it would have definitely gave you another positive to look at, as good as that mold is.
Yeah, but I knew that would be controversial. I just had to bring it up because it's, the show has a much more diversity of opinion than it had a couple of years ago.
This is reminding me that there are so many examples of the entire fandom drinking Kool-Aid.
Oh yeah.
Where does this happen? Where we will do this sort of mass just mind wipe and go, oh, this is amazing, and then realize later, oh.
I haven't realized that it's not yet, but I would almost be willing to say animated. I love animated. I love animated so much, and I can tell you why, but in 5 or 6 years, that opinion may drift a little bit. So I would say animated's closest to that, but animated's great. More Than Meets the Eye, the new comic, is probably veering that way. It's really, 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 really good, but it's so good that sometimes we may,
It might fall.
Yeah, like I compare it to the best of other comics, because and I don't grade it on a scale, but maybe that's not fair to other comics. So
Well, it's like, a lot of people hold SH Figure Arts, which is another line.
Yeah, I know what that one is.
To a higher degree of what they're expecting, and sometimes we start to hold this. We get all this great stuff that's supposed to be at a higher level, and then when something comes out that's not trying to be that same level of complexity or focus, we say, "Oh, that's not as good," but it's good for what's level. It's not trying to be this extra nice stuff.
Yeah. Other things we got that came out in the time period since RFC came out, the entire Dreamwave universe.
Oh God! Thankfully, it rose and fell.
No, it wasn't all bad. Just
it broke under its own weight.
Mostly bad.
I have to say, I enjoyed the Armada comic
until Furman got on it.
Until much more than I did the television series, and I was actually enjoying Energon.
The Armada comic's great when Chris Saracini was writing it, but when Furman got on board, it kind of went downhill. And I kind of hate that.
That is another one of those where it's like, I think the fandom drank the Kool-Aid really early, and then got over it. Like, it wasn't strong enough.
I think the fandom probably drank the Kool-Aid on that when they first saw that image that was in Wizard magazine. Mm-hmm. When Pat Lee did the art. I was like, holy crap, look at that. And he actually got the license somehow.
Transformers. I mean, that's one of those deals where it's like, at the time for G1, we were like, holy crap, it's really G1. I think that since that time, and I think it's one of the reasons that the G1 has lost its novelty, is we've gotten so many things since then that have been different but just as good, if not better. I would usually say better. But I don't know. That's one of those ones where it's like early on we were really sold on it, and then when we kept getting these images of oversized, cracked characters, we were like, well, this is not.
The one thing I appreciate about Dreamwave, even though they didn't necessarily get paid, a lot of artists got a chance to come into prominence.
No.
Dreamwave.
The higher ups got paid. Don't worry.
Yeah, but there are people people we know that actually got featured in stuff that was great because they got their art out there. Didn't get a dime out of it, but it is what it is.
Some of them did eventually, in the sense that it got them other work.
That's true. That's true.
But for all its faults, Dreamwave was an important stepping stone getting to where we are now. It's a whole. If we didn't have Dreamwave, would we have what we have today?
Yeah, we might have gotten earlier.
Yeah,
Dreamwave might have actually been a stumbling block.
Yeah,
that's how I see it.
Yeah, I kind of agree with Brian on that. I think it's possible that Dreamwave came in and oversold itself in its ability to create, and may have kept another company from producing stuff.
I see Dreamwave being like Fox having the rights to the Fantastic Four. If Marvel had it, they could probably do something really good, but Fox isn't. Yeah, so Fox is going to make another crappy movie. So
it's been foxed up.
It is pretty foxed up, though. That's pretty much right. Or Sony having Spider-Man. No offense, even though I liked the last movie.
That's fine. I'm okay with that. I'm a little annoyed that Fox still has Fantastic Four.
Yeah. But, God, so much other stuff. The entire Unicron trilogy, start to finish, the whole kit and caboodle.
Wow.
It is what it is. It's a collection of really great stuff, i.e. the toys, and really crappy stuff, i.e. most of the fiction. Mm-hmm. But a lot of neat and interesting ideas brought to the table, and a lot of toys you can still find at Goodwill, even though some of them are pretty good. My Goodwill's still overrun with that stuff. Let's see here. The movies. Can't forget those.
Wow.
And that was such a huge paradigm shift for the Transformers, because so much was basically impacted by the movies. Even to this day. I mean, animated was very much influenced by the movie. Maybe not the fiction, but the designs were pretty well, really animated-y, cartoony movie designs. Prime much more closely tied to the movie. But the figures, the bags of knives, that whole sort of look started with the movies. And, it was a great seller for the 2007 movie, but it's continually gone downhill toy-wise, and it's kind of, I think, ultimately been a detriment to the Transformers, at least as a toy line.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. 15 years from now, oh, man, they're going to be like, just trying to get more toys that look like that. Remember when they used to look like they would kill you if you touched them?
What were you going to say, Diecast?
I was going to say that this is another part, the movies that have done a lot for the fandom and to bring, Transformers to the forefront.
Oh, it absolutely has. It absolutely has. I think for Hasbro, it's brought in a lot of money, not necessarily from toys, but licensing dollars. I mean, certainly, you can't go to Walmart without seeing Transformers shirts or Transformers book bags and stuff. But I mean, as their bread and butter, the stuff that they make their money on day in, day out, I don't think the toys do that well. They do better than G.I. Joe, I can say.
And this is another thing, like they just signed another deal with a company to do that type of stuff, like apparel and shoes and stuff like that, and that's easy money that they're making because it's a license. Then that's it.
Yeah.
Transformers pregnancy test. It's an Autobot. It's an Autobot if you're pregnant. It's a Decepticon if you're not.
I would buy that.
I think the movie design for the toys, there was a lot of over-complexity just for over-complexity's sake. There was a lot of shell formers and kibble problems. But I think if you look at each line, you'll see there were some standout gems in each line.
Oh, yeah. True. True.
And I think they brought us a lot of good things that we wouldn't be seeing in like Generations or Classics now.
A lot of engineering. They learned a lot of things in designing these toys.
Right.
They absolutely did. That's very true, Don. And I'm not picking on the design team, the engineering team. I mean, they did what they did. I mean, the toy, they didn't, they had the toys they had to design the toys based on the look, and that's what they did. And we got some great stuff out of it, and we got a lot of not so great stuff out of it.
We got more not so great stuff on the way.
Maybe. Let's see here. Animated, talking about the Kool-Aid. I still like the taste of that Kool-Aid, but hasn't killed me yet. But Animated came out. Everything with that. Prime came out.
Prime was very good. I was drinking that Kool-Aid. I was not having the animated Kool-Aid.
Well,
I kind of regret it now because people talk so highly of it. But
I mean, I don't want to overuse that phrase. I mean, I think Kool-Aid specifically is like when something is crap and under any other circumstances you would look at it and go, wow, that's crap. And, I don't think Animated is that per se. I don't think the toy, I mean, it's always aspects of things. The toys are fine for anime. I think the show may be considered a little, it may have been given a little more grace just because it had a lot of cool cameos and
it wasn't Cybertron, honestly.
Yes, and it wasn't Cybertron.
So basically, Beast Machines held in high regard to now, not so much then because it wasn't Beast Wars. Animated held in high regard because it wasn't Cybertron, and then Prime to begin with not held in that high regard because it wasn't animated. So it's kind of interesting how those things work out. Anything else like really notable? I'm certain I'm missing something. There are lots of games. So the War for Cybertron, Fall of Cybertron,
and
Armada
classics. The whole
the G1, the G1 revival. Basically, most of I don't remember when the first reissue toy came out. When the reissue Optimus came out, I'm pretty sure it's probably before the first episode of RSC. But so many encore and commemorative figures have come out. Basically back in the day, I can go back and read posts of mine from Alt Toys Transformers in like the late '90s when people were saying, "Why don't they bring Optimus Prime out again?" Or "Why don't they bring out Soundwave?" And I'm like, "You idiot! They'll never do that." Yeah, I was completely and totally wrong.
And then you got more Now there's people that have built houses out of that prime.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
And, people are saying, well, why don't we get like a super, articulate, intricate, masterpiece-style design of these figures? You idiot, that'll never happen.
Oh,
Like in 03, you know?
In 03, though, and even in that time, like, that didn't make sense. Like, that, there was a time when that wouldn't have happened. The marketplace changed. Things changed to cause those things. It's not like that was a stupid thing to say, no, they won't do that. I mean, at the time, it didn't. I mean, even thinking around Beast Wars time, I think we all sort of had felt that, cars and vehicles had seen their day, and that was, that was it. We're into animals now, and when this dies, then Transformers will be dead for another 10 or 15 years, and we'll have to wait. I mean, because that's all we had to go on. But
one thing
we got lucky.
One big thing that we talk about all the time, and I wrote this down, and I completely skipped over it. I mentioned it earlier. We got basically OTFCC. So BotCon completely changed hands. BotCon ended for a year. It ended up being official for 2 years, taken over by OTFCC when Glenn sort of took over. Then Glenn lost the license. We got an unofficial BotCon, and FunPub got the license to BotCon, and they created the Transformers Collectors Club. I mean, so that's, like, again, like a total huge deal that has happened since we did this.
Yeah, since we started this. Yep.
Yeah. Total shift in, like, the way that, the whole the fandom, like the official fandom has been managed.
And it's become its own, instead of just a bunch of people meeting and gathering every year, it's
legit. It's a big deal.
Yeah, we see stuff, coming out, we not see all this much stuff, and every year we see stuff coming out in 6 months, stuff planned for the next lines, the next animated series, whatever the case may be.
You look at the Transformers subscription service. We were talking about Jackpot, and I was talking crap about Jackpot, and I take all of that back because, back in the day, BotCon, we got 2 toys, and we didn't know what they were until BotCon.
Right.
Now
all we knew was a size, class, and maybe a price point.
And if somebody like Spooky leaked like the leaked the images, people lost their shit.
Mm-hmm.
People went crazy about that stuff. Now we have like usually 6 figures in the set. We have 5 or 6 different figures in like the souvenir sets. Now we have the subscription service, and I use the term lovingly, fan winkery stuff. The stuff like that we never would have expected, like a new Jackpot figure. That's not going to hit retail. But for the people that or Ultra Mammoth, it's. I love the term fan wink, and I say it in all sincere, loving honesty because I like that term because it's a chance to give us stuff that we really want that we might not deserve, honestly.
Yeah, and otherwise get, of course. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, I don't know. We can talk about the FunPub management in terms of like, okay, stole my credit card, blah blah blah, all that stuff happens. I'm not discrediting that, but I'm just saying this is something that we would not have seen had there not been a change in hands.
Yeah.
And I will challenge anyone to say that, we'll be better off if we didn't have it. No. F you, go light yourself on fire, because I would at least rather have the option to get the stuff than to have it not produced at all.
Yeah.
And in terms of the cost is not bad. How much in terms of what you can get, is it expensive, for like the full Primus package?
Absolutely.
Sure. But that those figures are going to be available.
It's not a cheap hobby.
Yeah, and it's not a cheap hobby. But again, it's like, what did I pay, $100 or something to go to BotCon 2001, to get those figures? But again, it was 2, and I was buying them blind. So,
And plus now we have an idea of what the set is, what the figures are, so you have some ability to say, okay, I like the set so far, or I don't like it.
Right.
At least you have some options before you walk in the door.
Yeah.
Having been to so many BotCons, I do kind of miss the simpler days.
Oh, I get that. I get that.
Yeah, but now I'm more informed now than I ever could have been, in John and Carl's day because they didn't get the information from Hasbro to the last minute.
And, honestly, go ahead, JD.
No, I was just going to say, and that's just a factor of being unofficial. I mean, we're getting this benefit because it's an official thing versus an unofficial thing. Right. And, I don't know. I just I know that a lot of people love to hate FunPub. It's fun to hate FunPub, but I mean, I think we get a better convention and we get better products than we would otherwise had they have not taken over. The argument can be made that another company might do it better, but this is what's happening now. This is what we have in front of us. So,
but yes, so much has changed in the last 14 years. It's insane. When we started doing this, we had G1 Beast Wars, the beginning of Beast Machines. We had the G1 comic, the Blackthorn comic, the G2 comic, the UK comic, and the Japanese series, and a couple of manga that most people never actually watched before. The Transformers universe is so much richer, so much bigger than it was years ago. And back when I started doing the show in the 90s, getting content each week, I basically had to pull it all out of my brain. There was very little news. So basically, I had to literally write a show, write content. It wasn't like this talking head format now where we can all just sit around and talk about something. Technology wasn't even there then. But, we could do a whole show now and not write any original content.
Hey, we had the technology to sit around and talk. You just had to have enough dongles and enough phones plugged into each other.
I was listening to the episode that you and Heath did, and Sue Blue did a stinger on that. And I'm like, holy crap, they recorded this on the phone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. If you want to go back and if for whatever reason you want to go back into the archive and listen to any of the interviews,
that was June of 2001. RFC didn't play a lot of the interviews. There was a couple that we played.
A couple you played, yeah.
Because that was pretty much your guys' thing, and I did my thing, you guys did yours. We were friends, but we weren't like as tight as
Yeah, but we wanted you to play them. That's why we did them.
Oh, I didn't know that. I would have played them. You just had to ask.
Yeah, no, we thought you would want to pick them up, but anyway.
I don't want to steal content. I still don't. That's why I don't listen to Transformers podcasts. I don't steal content. Yeah. But I will listen. I do listen to Nebulan Pirate Radio now because we're going to start airing that show each week.
It's just interesting if you look at it from a point of view. In the last 14, 15 years, we've gone from trading VHS tapes or
I did that.
To actually being able to get Headmasters, Master Force, and Victory on DVD.
Yeah.
And possibly Blu-ray next year for Victory, subtitled.
So okay, the world we're in now, even if you don't want to buy it, it's all on YouTube.
Yeah.
Like season 4, or 5, however you want to describe it, the Tommy Kennedy Power Master Prime puppet season. I got that. I was on Rockman666's website, and I'm like, oh, I think I'll buy that. And I bought it. And I got it, a couple weeks later. After he actually sat down and recorded it, he had to he had to redub the tape, and the quality was crap. It was fine for the time, but I still have the tapes, and they just look like total crap.
That's all we had.
That's all we had.
I mean, I was trading Kmart exclusive Legend Bumblebees for VHS copies of Master Force and Victory because I had no idea what these series was. I was just getting them for a $4. Legends figure.
It was so different. In a way, I kind of miss it, but in most ways, I would never, ever, ever go back.
No.
I like knowing what's going on out there, so I can plan purchases and such.
I like living in a world that's had Robots in Disguise in it, that's had alternators in it, that's had Unicron trilogy, it's had animated, it's had Beast Machines, it's had Beast Wars, it's had Prime. It's so much richer now, and it's a great fandom. It's a great universe to be a fan of. I don't love all of it, but I do love all of it. I mean, it's sort of this weird dichotomy. On one hand, I bought it. I religiously bought the stuff if I could find it, but I didn't necessarily appreciate it. But that's because I feel entitled to judge it in a sense because I love it so much. I'm a fan. I mean, it's all there is to it, and there's a lot of stuff that's gone on, and it's like I said, it's a great universe to be a fan of. Wouldn't give it up for anything. Not Sailor Moon, not
gonna give you
not Pokemon,
not Kim Possible,
not Kim Possible,
not Kim Possible.
It's
oh my
a good
God.
show.
Do you ever call Kim that? Do you ever call her Kim Possible?
No, if I say something like that, she's like, Massey!
Oh my God, that's awesome.
Occasionally, it's awesome. Kim will say Massey occasionally. Like if we see a fan somewhere, it's the Massey brand, she'll point at it and laugh. She loves you, Don.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Kim's pretty awesome. Go ahead, Don. So yeah. Oh, we lost video. So lots of awesome stuff has happened. I love Transformers. What about you guys?
Yeah, it's okay.
I've bought way too much of it, but I love it.
Yeah.
Totally.
Hurts my wallet.
Yeah.
Ask Don about any toy. He'll tell you about the 3 that he used to own and who he sold them to.
That's me. Because Don's kept most of his stuff. I've sold most of my stuff.
Oh, he's got 1, but he sold the other 2.
That's probably true.
I mean, if Transformers didn't come back, I don't think I'd have any toys.
Define coming back.
I mean, it's always been around and never stopped, dude.
It seemed like it stopped forever, but it was like a couple of years.
Well, no, I mean,
it never stopped, dude. There's no break. It literally
in the U.S. there was a very brief break, very brief.
Months?
G1,
18.
before we got the G2 releases, there was nothing, JD. It was a vast wasteland of nothing.
And after G2,
from the end of G2 to Machine Wars, there's only like a year to 18 months.
Well, in the G2 to Beast Wars came before Machine Wars.
Did it?
But I'm saying from the end of G1 before we got anything with G2, there was nothing.
No, nothing. Yeah.
Well, you might find old stock on a drugstore shelf somewhere.
Yeah, but none of us are old enough to remember that, Don.
I am.
No.
But yeah, so like I said, it's been a great 14 years. I probably won't be doing this again in 14 years. I'll probably be doing radio-free Zoids or something. But
Zoids. We'll be doing
radio-free Visionaries.
Oh God.
Radio-free and humanoids.
We'll be talking about old people stuff by then. Radio-free lawn care.
I won't be 50 yet in 14 years. That's not too early.
I'll be dead. I'll be dead. I don't care what you do.
14 years ago, would you have thought you would still be doing this, though?
He wasn't still.
Okay, so XV's not on. We were going to argue about this. I do want to point this out. So I've gone back and checked. I've gone back, and the whole archive of every episode that we have is now at tfradio.net. So go to archives, go to Radio Free Cybertron. Every single episode we've ever posted, with the possible exception of one, but I'm not actually sure now that we're missing that episode, which is kind of sad, but, I wasn't keeping good records.
It's a radio station in Nigeria.
Yeah, basically, that's exactly right.
You're definitely missing an episode.
So I found... how many episodes did you do back in the day?
We did at least 2, and I know one of those is a missing episode.
I've got one of them. So
you've got one, but there's another one that we did that's like the funniest one that we did that's missing, which is unfortunate.
But some people, I'm not going to name names, have pointed out, oh yeah, we're not the longest running consecutive Transformers podcast, and that's true. For the most part, we did have a break of a few months here and there from like 2002 to 2003. 2003, we had a break of about 6 months between episodes. We had a couple episodes in 04. We had one episode in 05, and nothing in 06 and 07. I recorded something in 08 and posted it, but it wasn't like, oh, we're back. Then we started again in 09. So there was about 2 years of pretty much nothing. So, but it's not really as long a stretch as we give it credit for being. I mean, it's...
Yeah, we make it sound like it was, the whole decade, but it really wasn't that long.
It was a couple of years. And, I had a lot of stuff going on. I was working like 80 or 90 hours a week. The reason why I stopped doing the show is because I got a job after, Mom died, and it just pretty much threw myself into work. But, had things worked out differently, I might not be married now. Mm-hmm. I would have a lot more Transformers.
Yeah.
So, Brian, basically, you'd be me, and I would wish that.
Oh,
I love you, Don. I really do.
I would not wish that. I thought by now I'd be married and have kids, and it's like, no one
Oh.
that
I'm married and have kids, but Brave keeps getting in the way.
Yep.
It's like
Him having to buy all these
every
toys.
time I decide to start stuff in the past years, it's like, okay, I'm tired of this. I'm going to stop buying this stuff. I need to get it. I need to get on with my life. Ooh, what's that?
I don't know, Don. I think you can have it all, bro.
Yeah.
Look at JD. JD is like
apparently.
JD is the Tom Cruise of this podcast. Believe it or not.
Cruise? What? Like I'm crazy?
Yeah,
like
no,
You are a little crazy, dude. You know that.
The sad thing is, JD is what we all aspire to be, the geek with the pretty wife, you know. So.
Oh yeah, and then some. So probably shouldn't go any farther into that. Let's not.
Some people went, what?
No. Can't talk about it. Want to. Need to do that new show.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else, guys?
I've got something to add for the third party stuff, if that's okay.
Add away, Don.
Okay.
Okay.
Fans Project Core, the fans website, heads up for pre-order Virus, which is a basically Shattered Glass code from their Function series. I saw this at BotCon.
Which figure is Code?
Code is their not Chrome Dome. The one they did last year at Christmas for the children's charities.
Right. Yeah.
This is a black, gray, and red repaint. Very pretty. So if you can't find Code,
Why not pink and white?
I'm sorry.
Why not pink and white?
Yeah.
Because they hate me. But you know, that's up for pre-order now. It's $79.99 for members of the Fans Project Core site. $89 for non-members. You can get up to three shipped for $12.99.
Okay, cool.
So that's available at the Fans Project Core site.
That's cool. I probably won't get it because it's not the Chrome Dome colors, but I regret not getting that figure. But it was it was one of those things that you donated money to. Was it Haiti?
Yeah. I believe, yeah.
And then they gave you that.
Yeah.
Damn, that was really nice. I like that. Actually, JD, reminds me real quick, we need to bring back, what was it? Operation, what was it called?
I don't know. It's had a couple of different names, but yeah, it's the peg warmer thing.
What did we call that last year, guys?
Operation Bumblebee, wasn't it?
That was the name of an episode. That was the name of an episode of
Yeah.
Prime.
I thought it was like Beehive or something.
Beehive. Operation Beehive. That was it.
Beehive. Yeah, so we're going to be trying to bring that back. We've got a couple of different ideas to kind of centralize it and make it not so scattered everywhere kind of thing. So
And actually make it work.
Yeah, actually make it work. So don't buy anything yet. Wait. Don't buy anything yet. Stick with us. And we'll try to roll out.
We'll transform our ideas.
Transform it and roll it out.
Try to roll out a plan here in the next couple of weeks for how to participate. So keep listening.
Yeah, pretty excited about that.
But we are planning on doing that again this year. I think hopefully this will be I think it's finally stuck. I think it's going to be something that we do every year. And
as long as we perfect it this time.
Yeah, and this year might actually be the year that we actually do it in a way that is more effective and I think is at least more measurable. Measurable, yeah. Let's use that term, measurable.
So I think we'll have details next week. We just need to talk through it and actually plan it. So
actually plan it out. So
what's wrong?
Hey, Massey. Hey, Massey. That's awesome. Okay, so happy 14th anniversary, guys. I'm Brian Kilby. Follow us on Twitter at TF Radio and on Facebook at facebook.com/TF Radio, and check out all of our shows at tfradio.net. We'll see you later. Have a good one.
Take care, guys.
Radio Free Cybertron. Visit us at tfradio.net for show notes and to subscribe to the podcast. Follow us on Twitter at TF Radio for news and updates. Watch our live stream at tfradio.net/live. Join our Facebook fan page at facebook.com/TF Radio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, TF Radio Network. Have a question or comment? Leave it on our Facebook fan page or mail it to contact@tfradio.net. This podcast is released under a Creative Commons license. Any part of this podcast can and should be redistributed, but please, proper attribution is required if you know what's good for you.